Teeny Gamer here, and it is time. You guys already know the drill. I already showcased Remielle in Shiyu Defense, Deadly Assault, and I even showcased her in Ether Activity 12 and Hollow Zero. So that was only appropriate for me to actually showcase Remielle for reals this time on the channel by doing a Remielle showcase video. So yeah. So of course, I'm going to be showcasing Remielle like I'm going to be showcasing Velina in the Velina showcase video, where I'm just going to be showcasing her with every single Anomaly agent. And to be very specific, I'm going to be showcasing Remielle in mono Anomaly teams, because in mono Anomaly teams, that is where her maximum amount of output and damage comes from. More specifically, her support capabilities, and of course her sub DPS damage output via Luminize. So that is the reason why I'm just going to be showcasing mostly, if not all, mono Anomaly teams. And that is because Remielle's best fit scenario or best teams is literally her in a mono Anomaly team. So yeah. Well, anyways, before we get this started, well, if you guys want to see more videos like this in the future, if you want to see more showcase videos or Zenless Zone Zero videos in general on this channel, be sure to leave a like on this video and subscribe down below. It really does mean a lot if you do support the channel by doing this. Leaving a like on the video and subscribing basically tells me that you guys want to see more Zenless Zone Zero videos, and as well as just more content like this on my channel. So again, if you guys want to support the channel, if you want to see more videos like this, be sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe. Well, anyways, without any further ado, let's just get this video started. So here is the Remielle showcase video. I'm going to be starting off with my Remielle build. Alrighty, so here is my Remielle build. So Remielle is a bit of a weird Anomaly agent in that she's really easy to build, but her stat requirements are surprisingly steep. You'll see what I mean once we get into her right now. So, well, for the easy part about Remielle, the reason why Remielle is so easy to build is because she's basically built like every single other Anomaly DPS out there. You want attack and AP. That's all you need. You don't need AM because, well, for Remielle is a Lumiflux character. Lumiflux characters don't need AM. And that is because in order to trigger Lumiflux reactions, which is refringe, all you literally need to do is just attack the enemy, and it basically just puts stacks of Lumiflux. Once you have 4 stacks of Lumiflux, you are basically ready to go with refringe. And if you guys don't know what refringe does, refringe basically is just a damage booster for your Anomaly DPS's Anomaly damage. If you want an example, I guess I could give you guys one right now. So, as an example, we'll use Remielle and Promeia as an example right here. So, Remielle just attacks the enemy with Lumiflux. Once you have enough Lumiflux buildup, you switch into your main DPS, which is Promeia. Promeia does a bloom or freeze damage, and that gets boosted via Lumiflux, which triggers refringe. Refringe will basically just boost the damage that your bloom and your freeze damage does. So basically, Remielle is a support. Yeah, and also she is a sub DPS, and that is because of the attack and AP again. You want as much attack and AP in order for her to do as much damage as possible via Luminize. Luminize is her very own specific damage. You can think of it in a sort of way like polarity disorders, but for Remielle specifically. It is a Remielle exclusive thing. So for Luminize is her main way of doing damage, which is also the reason why she is a sub DPS. So that's the reason why you want attack and AP, which leads me to the steep part about her. So why is her stat requirement so steep? That is because of her attack specifically and somewhat of her AP. So for attack, you desperately need, and I mean literally, you need 4k attack. Why do you need 4k attack on Remielle? It's because of her core. Her core passive, more specifically, her additional ability. If you have 3 Anomaly characters in the squad, aka if you have a mono Anomaly team, you have 1,600 attack to all party members, aka you basically take 40% of Remielle's attack and it converts into attack for all your party members. So if you have the max of 4k, you get the maximum of 1,600 attack to all party members. Yes, you heard me right. 1,600 attack to all party members. This means that party members like Jane, Promeia, Alice, Aria, Velina, they all get 1,600 attack because of Remielle. That is the reason why you want 4K attack. It is very, very, very important that you get 4K attack on your Remielle, because with 4K you get 1,600 to all party members, and it affects the whole squad. It is also the highest attack buff that you can get in the game, 1,600. Remielle is the only one who can actually give 1,600. The rest of the characters can give around 1,300 attack, but for Remielle, she's a special case. She gives 1,600. But remember, you need to have a full Anomaly team in order for you to get 1,600 to all party members. So it's very important for you to put Remielle on a mono Anomaly team. Once you do that, you can take advantage of the 4K attack and give 1,600 to all party members. It is very, very important to do so. And of course, let's talk about her AP as well. The reason why you want AP is because of her Luminized damage. Her Luminized damage is absolutely ridiculous. It does so much damage depending on how well leveled up your skills are. Your skills are scaled off of your damage multiplier. If you guys don't believe me, I can literally show you right here. As see here, 160% of the multiplier, 320% of the multiplier of Luminize. As you see here with the assist, 320% of the multiplier for EXs, 336% of the multiplier for ultimate. Yeah, you see here, it is very, very important that you have to level up your skills and also level up as much of your AP as possible in order to do maximum Luminized damage. So that's the reason why you want a bunch of AP. As long as you basically go above 370 AP, you should be fine for the most part. Remielle already does so much damage anyway. So yeah, that's the reason why I call Remielle a support sub DPS hybrid. It's because you need the 4K attack in order to give 1,600 attack to all party members. Also, because of Refringe allows Remielle to boost the damage of all other Anomaly DPSs, which is also the reason why she's a support. But she's also a sub DPS because of the AP. Because of AP, you are able to just do big Luminized damage. So yeah, she basically is just a sub DPS support hybrid, I would say. So yeah. Well, anyways, now it's time to go over the in-depth stats right here. So, as see here, we have 1,566 attack with 2,478 attack with a net total of 4,044 attack. It is possible that you can reach 4K attack if you have a, if you have a 5th disc attack percent, if you also have a 6th disc attack percent, and if you have her main signature W engine. If you have those and a couple of luck with your sub stat rolls, you should be able to get 4K attack somewhat okay. And by somewhat okay, I mean you kind of have to get lucky with your sub stat rolls, but you should be able to reach 4K attack. It shouldn't be as difficult as getting like a 27k HP Shao, but yeah, 4K attack is pretty steep, but I'm pretty sure if you guys already have a good sub stats for your attack percent, and as well as good 5th disc, 6th disc, and as well as her main signature, you should be able to reach the 4K attack, I would say. As for the AP right here, we have 412, which is pretty good. The more AP, the better. The higher your AP is, the more damage you're able to do with Luminize. Again, you guys don't want to go over 4K. Because once you reach over 4K, there's not really any beneficiary gain. So after you reach 4K, you just focus on AP, and that is basically it for Remielle. So after you gain the 4K attack, just make sure you level up your AP. As you see right here, we don't have any other things. Of course, you can level up Pen for Remielle, just to squeeze out a little bit of extra damage, just like your typical ordinary Anomaly DPS. So yeah. And as for the skills right here, the most important thing you have to level up first is of course going to be your core skill. Your core skill is very important to level up because you gain skill damage multiplier based off of Remielle's AP. That's the reason why you want AP as well, because the more AP you have, the more damage you're able to do with your skill multiplier. So it's very, very important. This is the reason why Remielle does so much damage on Luminize. It's because of the core passive. Just level this up first. It is very, very important to do so. Just level it up. As for the skills right here, the most important skills you are going to be leveling up is going to be your normal attack, your ultimate, and as well as your assist. The reason why you are going to be leveling these up the most is because for your basic attack, you're going to be spamming Fleeting's Grace all the time anyway. Once you reach into the floating radiance, aka having a floating radiance, you're going to be going into the phase flow state. If you guys don't know what the phase flow state is, it's when Remielle goes off field to attack the enemy. Once you gain enough void flares, aka if you do enough Luminize, reactions, or if you do enough refresh reactions, you're able to do big damage on the enemy via Fleeting Grace. So yeah, you're gonna be consuming all the Void Flares just to do the big attack. So yeah, you're gonna be doing this all the time anyway, so that's the reason why you should level up basic attack. As for the ultimate, you're going to be spamming this a lot too. Remielle does get her ultimate pretty consistently, so you are going to be doing this a lot. And besides, it does so much damage anyway. So yeah, might as well just level it up just because you're going to be spamming ultimate anyway. As for the assists, the reason why you want to level up assist is because of her assist Flower and Feather Dance, which is the big attack that she does when she switches in, which does 320% of the Luminized multiplier. So yeah, it's really, really broken. So you're going to be spamming all these the most. So you're going to be going into, of course, right here, you're going to be going into Floating Radiance, which goes into Phase Full State. Once you go into Phase Full State, you swap into Flower and Feather Dance, which is the reason why you want to level this up, because it does so much damage. Afterwards, you're going to go into Fleeting Grace, and then afterwards, you can maybe do an ult if you have enough decibels, and afterwards, you just rinse and repeat the process over and over again. So that's the reason why you have to level these three up first, because this is what Remielle is going to be doing the most on the battlefield. So yeah. As for the secondary skill you want to level up, it's going to be your special attack. The reason why you want to level up your special attack is not only does it do a lot of damage, her EX, but you also gain a 18% damage boost for all squad members as long as you enter the phase flow state. So it's really, really important to do so. So when you do assist Flower Feather Dance, you can go into the next normal switch in, and then upon entering phase flow state, you get a 18% damage boost. So yeah, if you want to do more damage, make sure you level this up too, because the 18% damage boost is no joke. It is really, really broken. So yeah, if you want just a big damage boost, level up special. Special is very, very important. Honestly, all of these four are really, really important. Just level these up. As for the least important skill, it's going to be, of course, your dodge. No one uses dodge anyway. Remielle doesn't use dodge. The only time you use dodge is if you move around fast on the hollows. That's basically about it. As for the equipment right here, it is her best equipment, and the only equipment that you should run. 4-piece Feathered Fate. As for the 2-piece set, it could be whatever AP you want. As long as it's 2-piece AP, you should be fine. But the reason why you want Feathered Fate is because it's literally made for her. The 2-piece set gives plus 30 AP, which is pretty good because she wants AP. As for the 4-piece set, you gain AP increase of 50, and if the character is a Lumiflux character, you gain an attribute anomaly damage bonus of 15%. So basically, as long as Remielle enters the battlefield or is switched, they gain a 50 AP, and you get a 15% anomaly attribute damage increase as long as the character equipped is a Lumiflux character and Remielle is a Lumiflux character. So yeah, it's basically free. So yeah, you get a massive AP boost and a 15% increase anomaly damage boost. It's really, really broken. This means that Remielle just does big luminized damage on the enemy. It's pretty good. As for the 2-piece set, it could be any AP set you want. As long as it's 2-piece AP, you should be a-okay. Because, again, the more AP you have, the more luminized damage you're able to do. So, yeah. As for these stats right here, as you see here, 3,221 attack, and with a lot of AP as well. And I do have some pen, so I just gave her some pen as well, just to increase the luminized damage a bit. So, yeah. As for the W engine of choice, it's going to be Ode of Resurrected Wings. I cannot recommend this W engine enough. If you want to reach the 4K threshold, you need to get this W engine, because not only does it give a 36% attack boost, but the passive is just so broken on her that might as well just run this on her anyway, and might as well just pull it. You get a 96 AP increase unconditional, so you just get a free 96 AP increase. When you trigger a refresh reaction, you gain a 20% increase anomaly damage, and all squad members gain a 30% increased damage dealt. So basically, you get a 20% increase anomaly damage as long as you trigger refresh, and you get an additional 30% increased damage for all squad members. So all squad members get 30%. And then Remielle gets an increased 20% damage on refresh. So yeah, it's really broken. This means that Remielle does 50% more damage, and you just get a 96 AP boost for free. If that's not broken, I don't know what is. So yeah, just get the W engine. The W engine is really broken. Just get it. So yeah. Anyways, that is basically it for the Remielle build. As you see there, pretty simple for the most part. The only problem is that you just have to reach the thresholds that she needs, which is the 4K attack mostly. So yeah, Well, anyways, it's time to showcase her in some teams. So I'm going to be going into order by the latest release character all the way down to Piper, which is the A rank Anomaly agent. Well, without any further ado, let's just showcase Remielle in some teams. Alrighty, so the first agent I'm going to be showcasing with Remielle is going to be Velina Ergid. So I have to get this out of the way first before we move on to the actual showcase segment, and that is Lumiflux as a attribute. So for Lumiflux, it is a very special attribute, and it literally is right here on the top right. So basically, the positioning for characters is really important if you are running Remielle, and that's because it affects the next agent. So I'll give an example right here. So if we put Velina in the front, as see here, the attribute Flux changes to Wind, and if we move Promeia to the front, it changes the attribute Flux to Ice. So it's very important that you have to position your characters very carefully. For the most part, you are going to be positioning your Lumiflux to your main DPS, aka for this team it's going to be Promeia. Promeia is the main DPS, so of course for your special attribute you want to position Remielle basically next to your agent. More specifically is going to be your main DPS. So yeah, that is the thing I want to get out of the way before we move on to the showcase. And now it's time to actually showcase Velina with Remielle. So for Velina and Remielle, these two literally go hand in hand together. They're literally the best partners ever. Yep, sorry Promeia. Promeia is not Velina's best partner anymore. Velina's best partner is now Remielle. And that is because of how both of their kits work. So for Remielle, as everyone already knows, and as I explained before in the build segment, Remielle gives attack boosts to all party members, and as well as triggers Refringe, which basically boosts the attribute damage for your main DPS. For Velina, it's basically the same case where she triggers Windswept, and then she does Vortexes for your main DPS, and then your main DPS infuses the Vortex, and it does attribute Anomaly damage, Windswept damage. So yeah, basically, because these two are literal support sub-DPS hybrids, they basically boost your main DPS to oblivion, and they just do so much damage. For Remielle's case, as I said before, 1600 attack with Refringe, which allows the main DPS to do damage. And of course for Velina, it's going to be Windswept and Vortex, which gets infused into the attribute of your main DPS, which does big damage. In this case, we could use Promeia as an example because Promeia is on this team. Promeia is basically going to be getting the big Refringe buff, and as well as the Windswept damage, and then her Vortexes just become Ice. This allows Promeia to just do massive bloom and freeze damage on the team. That's the reason why Velina and Remielle are just so good together, because they just boost the absolute crap out of your main DPS. Going forward, we are going to be seeing a lot of Velina and Remielle on this team because these two are literally the best Anomaly agents in the game. So yeah, the main DPS doesn't really matter. As long as you have these two, any main DPS Anomaly agent is going to be performing wonders. That's how broken these two are together. Velina and Remielle literally just make every Anomaly agent better. So yeah, moving forward on, we are just going to be showcasing a lot of Velina and Remielle's, but we are going to be showcasing some Remielle teams where Velina is not on there, just to basically give you guys a power gap difference on how big Velina and Remielle is compared to a team that doesn't have Velina and Remielle. So yeah. Well, anyways, I already explained the team, so now it's time to actually showcase it. So you have Promeia, who's the main DPS. We have Velina, who is the sub DPS. We have Remielle, who is gonna be the support and sub DPS. As for the main build of choice, I'm gonna be going with Ultra Jake for the energy gain. You can, of course, you can go for Snap. Snap gives damage boost, as long as you basically just give a Bang Boo just a support boo. So basically Ultra Jake or Miss Esme or Snap, as long as you basically just have those support boo, you should be fine. Of course, you can run Remielle's signature Bang Boo, which is Aerial, but Aerial is a damage boo. So yeah, basically it's better just run a support boo because for Ultra Jake you just get energy, and then for of course Snap you just gain damage boost. So basically all of your agents just benefit off of that, and they just do big damage. For Ultra Jake specifically, since he gives energy, this basically helps Velina throw out more vortexes because he gains energy, and of course for Promeia, it allows her to throw her capes more often because her capes are tied to her energy. So yeah. Well, anyways, playing as Remielle is very easy. So of course you swap into her, and then you just basically swap out and go into the flow state. And then you just do your main DPS thing. So basically, we're going to be playing as Promeia for a while, and then we're going to be going into Velina, and then just trigger a Vortex right here. There we go. And then we just do big damage, or at least try to do big damage for Promeia. And then hopefully trigger as much Void Flares as possible for Remielle. Once we trigger enough Void Flares, you're able to switch into Remielle, and then you just do big damage on the enemy. And then of course, if the enemy doesn't die, you can hold basic attack, and then they just die instantly. And there you go. That is a 35-second Gerta Blulu. And that is how broken the Remielle team is. As you see there, with Remielle and Velina together, they basically just buff the absolute crap out of your main DPS, which allows, well, yeah, you can see there, just massive numbers, big numbers. For Promeia, it is no exception right there. And then for Velina, of course, Velina with Remielle is just so good that they basically just buff any main DPS to oblivion, and they are just a match made in heaven together. So yeah. So there you go. There's Velina and Remielle. Literally the best pair in the game. If you have these two, you can literally just make any Anomaly agent the main DPS, and they just perform wonders because of these two. So yeah, as see there, Velina and Remielle, a match made in heaven. So yeah. Well, anyways, it's time to move on to the next Anomaly agent to showcase. Alrighty, so the next Anomaly agent going to be showcasing with Remielle is going to be Promeia. So the reason why Velina is not on this team is because if I do have Velina on this team, I am literally showcasing the same team twice because I already showcased Promeia in the Velina segment. So I'm going to be showcasing a different team for the Promeia segment of the Remielle showcase. So the reason why I am showcasing a different team is because I want to showcase the power difference between having Velina on a Remielle team versus not having Velina on a Remielle team. Because Velina is such a very important partner for Remielle that they are both able to just buff up the absolute crap out of your main DPS. So what if you don't have Velina? Well, you have to substitute. And for the substitute, in this case, it's going to be Vivian. But firstly, I have to talk about Promeia real quick, even though I already did talk about her in the Velina segment. But, well, since this is a Promeia segment, I have to talk about how Promeia works. So Promeia is just your bloom damage dealer. She basically throws her cape every now and then to fill up the passive in order to do big bloom damage. That is what her main gameplay is. She does freeze and bloom damage. As for the reason why Velina is so good with Promeia, is because Velina is able to just trigger Windswept and then just do Vortex for Promeia. But since Velina is not on this team, the only support that we are able to get is Remielle's 1600 with the Refringe, which is still good for the most part because this basically just means that Promeia does a lot of damage. But since we don't have Velina, we have to substitute her with Vivian, who also works well with Remielle, because Remielle, again, just gives 1600 and Refringe as well for Promeia, but the 1600 is really great for Vivian because Vivian wants high attack in order to do big, massive bloom damage, which is also what she does too. So yeah, Vivian is basically just able to just do damage off field and helps out Promeia quite a bit by just being a sub DPS of the team. So yeah, basically, it's not as good as Velina, but it should substitute well enough because of just how much Remielle gives to the team, and also Vivian is just a good agent in general. So yeah. Well, anyways, it's time to showcase the power difference between a Velina team versus a non-Velina team. So we have Promeia, who is the main DPS. We have Vivian, who is the sub DPS. We have Remielle, who's going to be the support and sub DPS of the team. As for main blue of choice, we're going to be running Snap for the damage boost. Just to close in the gap a bit, well, closer, because with Snap you're able to get a 10% damage boost if you have them at S5. It is unconditional. You don't need Stars of Lyra characters in order to get this, so it's a pretty great bang boo for that. But for the most part, this team will be performing fine. It's just that I don't think it'll be clearing Gerta Blulu fast, and that's because Velina just does a lot of damage again and just supports Promeia. For Vivian, she's just a sub DPS, so she literally just does damage for you. But then again, the 1600 attack should help out Vivian's damage output, so Vivian is able to hit hard on this team regardless. So yeah. Anyways, let's just showcase how good this team is. Of course, you can run Robin, because Robin is also a good Bangbu to run if you have Vivian on the team, but I will showcase Robin at some point later down the line on this Remielle showcase video. Anyways, we're going to be swapping into Remielle, and then we're just going to be going into Vivian right there. And then we're going to be using the EX right here. And then just trigger some blooms right here. Yeah, so we're going to be triggering as much of blooms as possible in order to just get a bunch of damage output. So yeah, anyways, we should be able to parry these. So there we go. And then just do the double parry. And we should be good to go for the most part. Alright, so we should be able to do this. And then just do an ult. And then I think this is over for the most part. Yeah, I think we're just going to be doing massive bloom damage right here. And then we should be able to swap into Remielle. Right there. Yeah, as you see there, the team is a bit slower than the, it is a bit slower than a usual, Velina team. And that's because, again, Velina just provides so much support for the main DPS. So yeah, it doesn't really, I guess it's not really a fair comparison. But yeah, as you see there, with Vivian, it's mostly doable for the most part. I see there 50 seconds on Gerta Blulu. It's a really good time for the most part because it is under a minute. But as you see there, without Velina, basically your damage numbers are basically, well, they do kind of fall off a bit. You see what I mean by Velina and Remielle are literally a match made in heaven because your Promeia or your main DPS, whichever one you choose, basically just does so much damage. Replacing Velina with another sub DPS basically just has you have 2 damage dealers instead of just having 1 big damage dealer. You get what I mean. So yeah, but Vivian is still able to provide some support for Promeia, as you see there. 50 seconds on Gerta Blue is a really good time. So yeah, as you see there, Promeia and Remielle work really well together, but I highly suggest that you just run Velina on a Remielle team because it's just broken together. They are literally broken and they just buff up the absolute crap out of your main DPS. So yeah, but Vivian again is a good substitute. Well, anyways, it's time to move on to the next Anomaly Agent 2 showcase. Alrighty, so the next Anomaly Agent I'm going to be showcasing with Remielle is going to be Aria. So Aria is mainly ran with Ether Veil supports, and that's because of Fandom Power. If you guys don't know what Fandom Power is the ability that allows Aria to do her plunge attacks, aka it's her main source of a bloom damage. So with Ether Veils, she allows herself to just gain a bunch of Fandom Power, which allows her to spam as much plunge attacks as possible. But on a Remielle team, Remielle wants to be ran with triple Anomaly. This means that the only way you can get access to Ether Veils is if you do ult with Aria herself, because Aria's ult actually generates an Ether Veil. But of course, you can run Suna on the team if you really want to replace your secondary Anomaly agent, but it's very important to keep in mind that you are going to be missing out on the attack boost for Remielle, because Remielle, in order to gain the 1600 for your party members, you need to have triple Anomaly. If you are missing one Anomaly agent, then you are getting the short end of the stick and getting the low attack boost. So yeah, it's recommended to just run a triple Anomaly team with Aria anyway, just to gain the 1600 attack, because, well, surprisingly enough, if you have Velina and Remielle on the same team with Aria, Aria's actually able to do so much damage to the point where you don't really need Ether Veils anymore anyway, and it actually does benefit Aria really well if you don't have Ether Veils if you have Velina and Remielle on the team. Because for Velina, she's able to trigger a Windswept, which gives Aria just massive damage, and also, of course, convert the Vortex into Ether, which allows her to just do massive damage. Of course, on top of that, Remielle's 1600 attack, and as well as the refringe on Aria's corruption and a bloom damage, which allows Aria to just do massive plunge damage on the enemy anyway. So you don't really need Ether Veil agents for Aria. especially if you are running Phaethon's Melody, which is her best 4-piece set. This means that you can just use Velina EX and then you just get the full Phaethon's Melody passive, which allows Aria to just do her EXs and just do massive damage on the enemy anyway. This means that Aria's bloom damage is going to be actually skyrocketing through the roof to the point where you don't need Etherville agents anymore. Well, it's time for me to showcase why that is. So we have Aria, who's the main DPS. We have Velina, who's the sub DPS of the team. We have Remielle, who is the support and sub DPS hybrid. And of course, for main build of choice, we're going to be running Ultra Jake for the energy. The reason why you want to run Ultra Jake with Aria is because with Ultra Jake, you're able to gain energy, which allows Aria to just gain fandom power. Of course, Ether Veils are not the only source of fandom power she's able to gain. As I said, you can just use EXs and normal attacks, which allows her to just gain fandom power. But most specifically, you want to run well, for Remielle, you just want to run a triple anomaly team. For Aria, it's no exception. If you run Aria on a Remielle team, you just have to run triple anomaly with Aria. But of course, Ultra Jake also helps out with Velina as well, because Velina is able to gain energy with Ultra Jake, which allows her to just chuck vortexes every now and then. So yeah, they just go hand in hand together, I would say, and you're going to be seeing why in the most part. Anyways, we're going to be showcasing just how broken this team is. So we're going to be going into Remy, and we're going to be setting up with Remy. So we're going to be going into flow state. Here we go. We're going to be going into Velina, and then just trigger a vortex right here. There we go. And we're going into a double EX into just plunges. So we're going to be doing a bunch of plunges right here. Right there, I see there, look at the massive bloom damage. It is crazy, absolutely crazy. Anyways, we're going to be going for the triple parry. So we're going to be going that right there, and then just do the double parry. And then just, you should be able to finish it off with a Aria ult. Yeah, but Aria is able to activate Ether Veils. See there, we get fandom power, and we just do massive damage. And there we go. As you see there, even without Ether Veils, you're able to clear Gerta Blulu in 32 seconds. Yeah, that's how broken Aria is on a Velina Remielle team. You don't need Ether Veil agents, because you can literally clear it at the same time that Promeia does. Yeah, as you see there, Aria's damage output is just so crazy to the point where you don't need Ether Veil agents. As long as you have Remielle and of course a good Anomaly sub DPS, you're able to just do massive damage with Aria. Aria is just so broken with Remielle. So yeah, as you see there, Aria doesn't need Ether Veil agents. As long as you have Remielle, you are good to go. So yeah. Well, anyways, it's time to move on to the next Anomaly Agent 2 showcase. So let's keep the showcase going. Alrighty, so the next Anomaly Agent I'm going to be showcasing with Remielle is going to be Alice Timefield. So Alice is a bit of a special case in, well, this Anomaly team, and that's because of Velina. Since Velina is a wind agent, she basically disables disorder damage because it just triggers Windswept instead. This means that Alice, who does polarity assaults, cannot trigger a disorder. This means that she does lose a part of her kit. But because Velina and Remielle are just so broken together, they're basically able to buff up Alice to the point where her assault damage is just massive. This means that the disorders don't matter anymore. She just does massive assault damage, which means that she is literally broken on this team. Velina is going to be providing Windswept and as well as Vortex for well, her attribute, which is going to be physical. So we're going to be seeing physical vortexes. And of course, for Remielle, she is basically giving 1,600 attack for Alice, and as well as refringe on your assaults, which means that Alice is going to be doing even more damage than before. Yeah, you're going to be seeing how much damage she's able to do to the point where you don't need disorders anymore. Well, anyways, it's time to showcase how good this team is. So we have Alice, who's the main DPS. We have Velina, who is the sub DPS. We have Remielle, who's going to be the support and sub DPS of the team. As for the Bangbu of choice, we're going to be running Ultra Jake for the energy. Anyways, let's get this started. So since she loses disorder damage, this means that Alice doesn't gain disorder damage boosts, but the assault damage is already good enough to the point where you don't really need disorders anymore, because Alice just does so much damage anyway if you do have her with high attack and AP. So the assault damage should be fine for the most part, and we should be able to delete the boss instantly, because we have literally the two best Anomaly agents in the game, which is Remielle and Velina. I would say that those two are literally just like a combo. It's like how Norma and Suna are ran together, or how Dylan and Suna ran together. You run both of those agents and then the, well, your DPS of choice. well, for the Anomaly teams, it's going to be Velina and Remielle, of course, and then your main DPS of choice, which in this case, for this segment, it's going to be Alice. Alice is going to be our main DPS of choice. Anyways, we're going to be, well, going into float state with Remielle again, right there. And then we're just going to be setting up with Velina. And then we're going to be seeing how much assault damage we're able to do with Starshine Volts. So let's see how much damage we're able to do. And there we go. 600k assault damage. Yep. You love to see it right here. The damage output is just super, super broken on Alice. Anyways, we're going to be parrying right here. And we're doing a double parry, of course. And then we should be able to just do massive damage on Velina's Vortex. There we go. Let's do massive damage. And we should be able to swap in and just do a polarity assault. And see how much damage this does. There we go. And, well, I guess we can just finish it off with Remielle, even though it is a bit of a waste of time. Because we already did beat Gerta Blulu. But yeah, there we go. That is a 44-second Gerta Blulu, as you see there. I did mess around a bit. You could clear this in under 30 seconds. But yeah, as you see there, 45 seconds on Gerta Blulu is pretty good, as you see there. So yeah, Alice right there. You don't need disorder damage. You can literally just do assaults with Alice, and then she performs fine for the most part for, well, a Remielle team. Of course, if you have Velina. So yeah, those two are literally just hand in hand together. As I mentioned before, it's kind of like the Dialin Suna and as well as the Norma Suna situation, where you run both of those agents and then you just run the DPS of your choice. For Remielle's case, it's going to be Velina, Remielle, and then your main Anomaly DPS of choice. So yeah, those two are literally hand in hand together. But as you see there, Alice and Remielle work really well together. So yeah. Well, anyways, it's time to move on to the next Anomaly Agent 2 showcase. So let's keep the showcase going. Alrighty, so the next agent I'm going to be showcasing with Remielle is going to be Vivian Banshee. So Vivian is just your typical ordinary Anomaly sub DPS, where she literally just goes on the field and then uses her EX and then goes off field, and then she uses her umbrella stacks to attack the enemy with the bloom damage. That is basically what Vivian does. And on a Remielle team, she works fine for the most part. I already did showcase Vivian on the Promeia segment, and I'm pretty sure she's going to be performing fine as well in this segment as well, because we do have right here a very unique team. Since Vivian is a sub DPS, why not have Velina as the main DPS? Velina actually can work as a main DPS if, of course, you have a really good sub DPS. Vivian fills that role perfectly for main DPS Velina. So if you are going to be running a main DPS Velina with Remielle, you can sub in Vivian as your sub DPS, and the team performs fine for the most part. Because, well, Remielle is going to refringe on Velina's wind anomaly damage, which means that her windswept and her vortexes do massive damage. And also, since Vivian is going to be infusing the vortex, you're going to be getting corruption vortexes up the wazoo. And also, since Vivian isn't a bloom damage dealer, she synergizes well with Velina perfectly. And of course, Velina is going to be popping off like crazy because of the Remielle support. You'll see what I mean once we showcase the whole team in action. So we have Velina, who is the main DPS. We have Vivian, who is the sub DPS. We have Remielle, who's going to be the support and sub DPS of the team. As for Bangbu of choice, since we are going to be running Vivian, we are going to be running Robin right here, because Robin is able to give us Anomaly buildup for free. So it's pretty good for the most part for Robin. Mostly you are going to be running support Bangbu. As I said before, you're going to be running stuff like Ultra Jake or Snap. Robin's also fine too if you are running Vivian. So yeah, if you are running Vivian, I suggest that you just run Robin. So you can free up your other Bangbus for other slots. Like you can just put Snap on another team while Robin occupies the Remielle team with your Vivian. But for the most part, you should be fine whatever Bangbu that you use, but most of the time you are going to be running support Bangbu. So yeah. Well, anyways, we're going to be seeing just how much damage we are going to be doing with this team. So anyways, we're going to be swapping into Remielle and then going to be going into the flow state once again. And then we're just going to have Vivian and Velina do their thing. So we're going to be using Vortex right here. There we go. And then we're going to be staying on Velina, because we are just going to be spamming EXs every now and then just to get the Anomaly build up for our wind. And then there we go, we get another Vortex right here and get another Windswept. Yeah, you see how much damage we're able to do? It's absolutely ridiculous. Anyways, we're going to be going for the double parry right here. And we should be good to go right here. Because we can just go into Vivian into Remielle and just finish it off. And if not, then we just do the normal. And there we go. Alright, that was 40-second, 40-second Gerta Blulu? Yeah, 40-second Gerta Blulu with the main DPS Velina and a sub DPS Vivian. But as you see there, as long as you build your team correctly, Vivian does fit well on a Remielle team despite being a sub DPS. Usually the sub DPS role is filled up by Velina, but you can, of course, use Vivian as well. As I said before in the Promeia segment, Vivian is a fine substitute for Velina, but if you are going to be running main DPS Velina, then Vivian is a perfect choice for a sub DPS, as you see there. 40-second Gerta Blulu with a sub DPS Vivian. Pretty good for the most part, so yeah. Well, anyways, there you go. Remielle and Vivian work perfectly fine together as long as you build the team properly, of course. Well, anyways, it's time to move on to the next Anomaly Agent to showcase. Alrighty, so the next Anomaly agent going to be showcasing with Remielle is going to be Hoshimi Miyabi. So Miyabi does differ with her fellow Anomaly DPS colleagues in a way, but she basically is just typically the same as any ordinary Anomaly DPS where she just does damage and that's basically it. Similar to Alice and Aria. But she does differ from her peers. One, she does lose access to disorder damage if you put Velina on the team, but as I mentioned before, Velina and Remielle are perfect together. They are perfect partners, so you want to run these two together anyway, which means that, of course, on Miyabi's best team, which is going to have Velina and Remielle anyway, you are going to be losing out on disorder damage. But just like Aria and Alice, Velina and Remielle boost Miyabi to the point where she doesn't really need it anymore, and besides, you only need disorder damage in order to get Frostfall stacks for your level 3 charge attack for Miyabi. But as I said before, she does so much damage to the point where she doesn't really need disorder damage because she can get it all of her own thanks to using EXs and normal attacks. Normal attacks and EXs, and also, of course, just inflicting an attribute anomaly in general gives her Frostfall stacks. So there are ways to get Frostfall stacks without doing disorder damage, and Miyabi has so many ways to do it. So she is going to be consistently at least doing level 3 charge attacks every now and then on this team anyways. And of course, let's not forget about Remielle and Velina on the team. Velina is just going to be doing Windswept for Miyabi. Miyabi's going to be doing a ton of damage because of the vortexes. And of course, Remielle giving that 1600 attack and the refringe for Miyabi's frost attacks. Yeah, we're going to be seeing a ton of damage here. Well, anyways, it's time to showcase the team. So we have Miyabi, who's the main DPS. We have Velina, who is the sub DPS. We have Remielle, who's going to be the support and sub DPS. Bangbu of choice, we are going to be running Ultra Drake for the energy because we want Miyabi to spam as much EXs as possible. Of course, you can also run Bangbu like Snap as well if you want the damage boost, just in case your Miyabi doesn't do enough damage. But as I said before, if you already have Velina and Remielle on the team, it doesn't really matter anyway because those two just work hand in hand together. So yeah, literally every single Anomaly team with Remielle is going to be Remielle, Velina, and then your third agent of choice. It could be whatever agent you want. It has to be Anomaly though. Basically kind of like, as I said before, Norma and Suna, and Dialin and Suna, where you just run both of those and then you run the DPS of your choice. So yeah. Well, anyways, we're going to be setting up the same way as before. We're going to be going into the float state. We're just going to have Miyabi and Velina do their thing. So we're just going to be having vortexes up on there. And we're going to be going into Miyabi. And we're just going to be doing a double EX and then just do a normal level 3 charge attack. And let's see how much damage we're able to do with Frostburn. That is 200,000 Frostburn. Yeah, pretty good damage overall, I would say. And we should be able to get another Vortex right here. Nice, alright. We get another EX, and then we should finish it off with Remielle, because Remielle already has a lot of Void Flare stacks. And if not, then we can just do another normal attack, and that should finish it off, because the Luminize does so much damage. Yep, there it is. That is 38 seconds, I'm pretty sure. 38 seconds. Yeah, 38 seconds, Gerta Blulu. As you see there, as long as you just run a really good main DPS, Remielle is just so broken to the point where, yeah, she just boosts the absolute crap out of your main DPS, and your main DPS just does so much damage. As you see there, Miyabi and Remielle work so well together, of course, as long as, of course, you just go into Remielle with a triple Anomaly team. So yeah. Anyways, Miyabi, Remielle work really, really well together, as you see there. Of course, well, that is not all. We still have more Anomaly agents to showcase, so let's keep the showcase going. Alrighty, so the next Anomaly agent we're going to be showcasing with Remielle is going to be Tsukishiro Yanagi. So Yanagi is basically in a similar build to Vivian, where she just does some DPS damage for the team. More specifically for Yanagi, she does disorder damage. So you basically just use an EX, and then you just deal disorder damage, of course, if the enemy is inflicted with attribute anomalies. And since Yanagi is a sub DPS, you can run the good old reliable trusty main DPS Velina for your main DPS needs, while your sub DPS does all the damage anyways. For Yanagi, it is no exception. Basically, Velina is just going to be doing main DPS damage with Windswept and Vortexes, while the Vortex gets infused by Electric with Yanagi, and Yanagi does disorder damage for the team, while Remielle boosts the absolute crap out of Velina and as well as Yanagi. Yeah, this is pretty much going to be functioning similarly to Vivian, except that for Yanagi, at least Yanagi is a free-to-play. So if you don't have Vivian, which is a premium option, you can sub out Vivian for Yanagi, and I'm pretty sure it performs fine too. Yanagi is really, really good still, I would say, and I'm pretty sure Remielle is just going to be boosting the crap out of Yanagi's damage, so I think we're going to be seeing some good numbers here. Well, anyways, it's time to showcase the team in action. So we have Velina, who's the main DPS, we have Yanagi, who is the sub DPS, we have Remielle, who's going to be the support and sub DPS. As for the main build of choice, we are going with Ultra Jake once again for the energy. It's very important for Yanagi to get energy because it's the only way she can do disorder damage is if she does EXs. So yeah, basically you just have to put her every now and then on the field and just do disorder damage and then just back out every now and then. So yeah, of course, just like every single other Anomaly team, if you guys don't have Velina, you can sub out Velina with Vivian and Yanagi, and it works similarly too, just like those teams, except that, as I said before, Velina and Remielle just work so well together to the point where you really want them to stick together because they're just so good with each other. I am not kidding when I say that their synergy is just so broken. You just have to run both of those agents together. They are literally a match made in heaven. Anyways, let's just do this again. So we're going to be going into float state and then just have them do their thing. Alright, there we go. And we just go into Windswept, into Vortex. And then we're just going to be doing a normal EX right here. And just do disorder damage. Yeah, see there, 200k disorder damage. That's not bad for the most part. I mean, it's basically typical Yanagi numbers. So yeah. Anyways, we're going to be going into another Vortex. And we should be able to parry this. There we go. Alright, nice. I guess I didn't really need to parry it because we did defeat the Gertablulu shield so fast. I didn't expect that we defeated so fast. Alright. This should finish it off right here. There we go. Alrighty. As you see there, it's basically the same thing as the Vivian team, where you literally just, yeah, Velina just does so much damage to the point where your sub DPS just stacks on a little bit of extra damage, basically kind of like a cherry on top towards Velina's damage. But as you see there, 38-second Gertablulu, that is really, really good. So yeah, as you see there, Tsukishiro Yanagi is a free-to-play agent. A free-to-play agent. And yeah, you do damage like that. 38 seconds Gertablulu. You can see why Remielle just boosts so much Anomaly agents. Anomaly agents are literally just got an upgrade because of Remielle. Remielle is just that broken. So, yeah. Well, anyways, there you go. Tsukishiro Yanagi and Remielle, really, really good together, as you see there. So, yeah. Well, anyways, it's time to move on to the next Anomaly agent to showcase. Alrighty, so the next Anomaly agent I'm going to be showcasing with Remielle is going to be Burnice White. So Burnice actually has a resurgence to the point where people just run her as a main DPS instead of a sub DPS. And that is because, well, back then in version 3.0, you can run Burnice as a main DPS because of Velina. Yeah, Velina actually has the capability to make Burnice a main DPS, and that is because of how Vortex and Windswept works. Yeah, this basically just means that Burnice is able to do so much damage, and that you can actually just slaughter as a main DPS instead of sub DPS. And since her energy regen is just super high anyway, if you have her at max potential, aka P6, you can actually just have Burnice just do flamethrower attacks while Velina does sub DPS damage, and she basically just cooks the enemy alive. With Remielle just released right here, this is actually now Burnice's best team. Yeah, Burnice's best team now is actually just main DPS Burnice and not sub DPS Burnice. But I have to explain what sub DPS Burnice is before we talk about the main DPS Burnice. So sub DPS Burnice is still really good, but only on disorder teams. Yeah, you see what I mean when I say that Burnice is better as a main DPS than a sub DPS? Because with main DPS Burnice, you get access to Vortex and Windswept. But if you run her as a sub DPS, you can't run Velina on the team because Burnice will be your sub DPS instead of Velina. So this means that you're forced to run her on disorder teams. But if you run Burnice as a main DPS, you get the power of Velina. Yeah, this is what makes Burnice a really good main DPS. And of course, let's not forget about our girl Remielle. We haven't even mentioned how good Remielle is with Burnice. But as I said before, with every single agent with Remielle, Remielle gives 1,600 attack. This means that Burnice is able to do so much damage because her damage is scaled off of energy regen and attack. So this means that Burnice is going to be doing so much damage to the enemy. And of course, Remielle gives Refringe on fire for Burnice. This means that Burnice is able to just cook the enemy alive. And of course, let's not forget about the Windswept Vortex and have flaming tornadoes on the field because of Burnice. Yeah, you're going to be seeing why Burnice is just so broken. Well, anyways, it's time to showcase the team. So we have Burnice, who's the main DPS. We have Velina, who is the sub DPS. We have Remielle, who's the support and sub DPS of the team. As for Bang of choice, we have right here Ultra Jake for the energy. It's really important to get energy because it allows Burnice to just shoot her flamethrowers. You have to have her fuel up at all times just to do passive burn damage, which is what she is going to be doing most of the time anyway. Of course, besides doing normal attacks. But Burnice does gain so much energy because of just how her potential works. If you do have her maxed out at P6, you can actually just have her as a main DPS while Velina just attacks off field. Of course, you can swap into Velina if you want to as well. You can basically just interchange between the two. But most of the time, you are going to be running main DPS Burnice by holding down the basic attack button, and as well as just doing EXs every now and then just to flame the enemy, just to gain stacks of your burn passive. Anyways, firstly, we are going to be going into Remielle just to do the float state. There we go, we got float state. Then we go into Vortex. And then we are going to be leaving our mark with Burnice, so we are going to be doing a normal attack right here. There we go. And we're going to be doing an EX. And yeah, as you see there, Burnice is able to do so much damage right there. You see how much damage we're able to do? It is crazy. Crazy how much damage we're able to do with Burnice. And look at how much energy she's able to get with her energy regen. It's actually crazy. We still have energy. That's how broken it is. And then we're going to be doing ult right here. And then we should be able to just swap into Velina ult. And that should finish it off right here. And that should be it. Oh, never mind. That is not it. So I guess we'll just do a Burnice normal attack right there. Alright, there we go. That is 40-second Gerta Blulu. Yeah, 40-second or 41-second Gerta Blulu. As you see there, the Burnice damage is crazy. It's the same time to be completed like Velina. Velina took 40 seconds to be Gerta Blulu. Main DPS Burnice, same thing. As you see there, it's just so busted. Burnice is now in a really good spot nowadays. She basically got promoted from sub DPS to main DPS. Main DPS Burnice is here to stay, folks. It is actually just super busted. If you want to try a really good team, I suggest that you just go with this team. This team is actually pretty fun to play because you just don't run out of energy and you're just able to cook the enemy constantly with fire tornadoes. It's actually pretty insane. So yeah, as you see there, Burnice and Remielle work really, really well together, as you see there. Well, anyways, it's time to move on to the next Anomaly Agent 2 showcase. Alrighty, so the next Anomaly agent going to be showcasing with Remielle is going to be Jane Doe. So Jane is in the typical ordinary main DPS Anomaly agent boat, similarly to Aria, Alice, Miyabi. Yeah, you get the idea. So I'm pretty sure you guys could probably already tell that Jane is going to be performing really well on this team anyway. As I said before, Velina and Remielle are just so perfect together to the point where they can buff the absolute crap out of your main DPS. For Jane, it is no exception. We're going to be seeing a lot of assault numbers with Jane, and yeah, Jane is going to be popping off like crazy. But before I showcase the team, I have to say that Jane is at P3 for me. Yeah, P3. She is not maxed out, so you are going to be seeing, well, kind of a weaker Jane, I would say. She is not at P6. At P6, she does a lot of damage because her crit damage gets increased by 30% if you land an assault. But since my Jane is at P3, which I will showcase right here, I can go to her kit right here. Yeah, she's at P3. The only thing that she's able to get right here is a 15% assault damage increase on your crit damage. So yeah, if you have her at P6 though, you do get right here the 30% increase assault damage. So yeah, keep that in mind when we showcase Jane. My Jane is not fully maxed out. She is at P3, not P6. So yeah. Well, anyways, time to talk about the other sub members besides Jane. So Velina is here just to do Windswept and Vortex, of course, just to infuse the Vortex with assault, meaning that Jane just does a lot of damage. And of course, Remielle is here for the support, 1,600 attack and refringed assaults, meaning that Jane is going to be doing so much crit damage to the point where the enemy just dies instantly. So yeah, I'm pretty sure we're going to be seeing a lot of numbers on this Jane team. Well, anyways, time to get the showcase started. So we have Jane, who's the main DPS. We have Velina, who is the sub DPS. We have Remielle, who is the support and sub DPS. As for the Bang build of choice, again, we are going with Ultra Jake for energy. Energy is our best friend. We love energy. And of course, since Jane just got a buff on 3.1, you can do Shalcho jump dodges. It is a thing now. You can actually just do Shalcho jump dodges. So it's not basically just you can't do Shalcho jumps because Shalcho jumps aren't free. But now they kind of are. As long as, of course, you just time your Shalcho jumps correctly, you should be able to get a lot of value off your Shalcho jumps. And of course, Passion State is just really good anyway. It's been good in this game, but they just buffed it even more. So yeah, Passion State should be pretty easy to get for the most part for Jane, and she will be staying on Passion State longer. You want her to be on Passion State anyway, because Passion State is where she gets her Anomaly buildup. So yeah. Well, anyways, we're going to be doing the same thing as before. So we're just going to be setting up with Remielle, and then we just have Velina and Jane do their thing. So we're going to be going into Vortex, do an EX right here, and just gain some Passion State, or at least try to get Passion State. And we got Passion State. All right, so now we can go into Shalcho Jump. There we go. Nice. All right, that's some pretty good damage for the most part. We can just do another EX right here and do massive damage. As you see there, 1 million. 1 million vortexes. 1 million vortexes. You saw the numbers, right? It's just broken. Absolutely busted. Anyways, we're gonna be swapping into Remielle just to finish this off because we love seeing the Remielle animations. Remielle's animations are just so good. So yeah. Anyways, we're gonna be going into the normal attack and finish things off right there. That is a 46-second Gerta Blulu. I'm pretty sure that was a 40-second Gerta Blulu if I didn't do the normal attack animation, because the normal attack animation does take forever. So yeah, but let's just say that is a 40-second Gerta Blulu. But as you see there, Jane performs wonders on a Remielle team. No surprises there. Remielle just buffs every single Anomaly agent to the point where they just do so much damage. So yeah, as you see there, 1 million vortex damage, 800k assaults. What more can you ask for with this Jane team? This Jane team is just so broken. Remielle is just broken in general with every Anomaly agent. She is just that busted. So yeah. Well, anyways, there you go. Jane and Remielle work really, really well together, as you see there. Well, anyways, it's time to move on to the next Anomaly agent to showcase. Alrighty, so the next anomaly age we're going to be showcasing with Remielle is going to be Grace Howard. So Grace is basically in the same boat as your typical ordinary main DPS anomaly agent, where she literally just does a bloom damage and chuck grenades. That's pretty much it. So she basically is in the same ballpark as Jane, Aria, well, Miyabi, you get the idea. She is literally just a main DPS anomaly agent. And of course, since she is a main DPS anomaly agent, we have right here the agents who support the main DPS anomaly agent, which is Velina and Remielle, of course. So for Velina, she's just going to be triggering Windswept and doing vortexes, electric tornadoes all over the place, meaning that Grace is going to be doing big Windswept damage and vortex damage, of course. And as well, we have Remielle for the 1600 attack, and as well as the Refringe, which just gives Grace a lot of a bloom damage and shock damage. So she is going to be performing similarly to characters like Jane. She actually did get a resurgence because of Velina, actually, back then in 3.0. In version 3.0, Grace actually got a resurgence because of Velina, because of how Vortex works. Vortex is just so broken that Grace actually is now competitively viable. And because of Remielle right here, she's actually competitively viable with all the other anomaly agents. That is how good Remielle is. Remielle just buffed Grace to the point where she can compete well with the other tier 1 agents. She is that good. So yeah. Well, enough about me blabbering. It's time to actually show you all why Grace is just good now because of Remielle. So we have Grace, who's the main DPS. We have Velina, who is the sub DPS. We have Remielle, who's the support and sub DPS of the team. Being blue of choice, we have Ultra Jake for energy. It's really important to get energy for Grace because Grace chucks grenades a lot. You do normal attacks, then you chuck grenades, and you just do big bloom damage. That is basically how Grace is played. And of course, you do the ultimate every now and then to chuck even more grenades. That is literally her main gameplay style. You literally just do normal attacks, you chuck grenades, and that's pretty much it. She is mainly ran as a main DPS most nowadays. Back then she is ran as a sub DPS, but now since she did get her potential buff way back in season 2, she is now ran as a main DPS. So yeah, she is still really good, I would say. She definitely got a resurgence thanks to Remielle, but that's like every single other anomaly agent, so yeah. But anyways, firstly we're going to be setting up with Remielle. So there we go, we got the setup. Then we're going to be going into Velina and just trigger a vortex. And there we go. Alright, so the first thing we're going to be doing is chuck grenades right there. We chuck another grenade, and we just do big damage. Alright, that's pretty good for the most part. The only sad part is that Grace triggers Vital View instead of triggers parries. So this means that we can't parry reliably with her. As you see there, we just trigger Vital View instead. So we basically have to rely on just pure raw damage output numbers. But that's fine anyway, because Remielle is able to just do big damage, and we're going to be seeing that right here. So anyways, we're going to be doing a normal attack. I'm pretty sure that is going to be it right there. If not, then we just do well, Grace chuck grenade, and that basically closes it off right there. That is a 40-second Gerta Blulu. Yeah, you see why Remielle is just so good with every single anomaly agent. Even Grace, who people might consider to be one of the worst anomaly agents in the game. Well, she is not anymore because of Remielle. Now she's actually really good. As you see there, she is competitively viable with every single other anomaly agent in the game. That is how good Grace is now. So yeah, rest easily, guys, because Grace is now back in her usual spot where she can actually just be competitive with all the other anomaly agents, thanks to Remielle. Remielle, as you see there with Grace, really good overall. So yeah. Well, anyways, that is all of the S rank anomaly agents. It's now, well, time to showcase the last anomaly agent, which is the only A rank anomaly agent. So let's showcase our good old reliable A rank anomaly agent. Alrighty, so the last anomaly agent I'm going to be showcasing with Remielle is going to be the only A rank anomaly agent in the game, which is Piper Wheel. So Piper is basically just your typical ordinary main DPS anomaly agent. She is in the same boat as Alice and Jane, where all she does is do assault damage. So yeah, basically you just spin around like a Beyblade, and then you just gain power stacks and do big assault damage. That is literally how Piper is played. And of course, since she is a main DPS Anomaly agent, we have right here the sub DPS and the support that will help Piper do a lot of damage. So we have Velina right here, of course, for Windswept and Vortex. This allows Piper to just do massive damage on the field, and she actually does look like a Beyblade because you can actually EX into the tornado and it actually just makes Piper look like an actual Beyblade on the field. So it's pretty funny to actually see that. And of course, besides the visuals, you can actually just get a lot of damage anyway because Vortex is just that broken. And of course, we have right here Remielle for the attack boost, the 1600 attack boost, and as well as Refringe on assaults, which allows Piper to just do massive damage. So Piper is basically going to be performing the same as Jane in a way, like her other tier 1 competitors, where she's able to just do massive damage thanks to these two. So yeah. Well, anyways, time to actually showcase what I mean. So we have Piper, who's the main DPS. We have Velina, who is the sub DPS of the team. We have Remielle, who is the support sub DPS. As for the main move of choice, we have Ultra Jake for energy. It's very important that we have Ultra Jake because Ultra Jake allows Piper to just gain more spins. Of course, you can use special without having energy with Piper. She does gain power stack still if you do her special, but it's better if you have your EX because EX spin is way better than normal special spin because it just allows Piper to just gain power stacks much more faster. And power stacks is the name of the game for Piper. You want to stack as much power as you can to do massive assault damage. It is very, very important to do so. That is literally how you play as Piper. You want to spin around like a Beyblade and literally just do big assault damage. So yeah. Well, anyways, time to showcase how good Piper is. So I'm pretty sure Piper's going to be performing the same as Jane. We're going to be seeing a bunch of assault numbers. So yeah, I'm not going to be surprised if we're going to be seeing big damage numbers. Anyways, of course we're going to be setting up, go into float state, and have Velina and Piper do their thing. So anyways, we're going to be going into Piper and just do a big EX, and let's see how much assault damage we're able to deal. We're able to deal 300k Vortex, 200k assault. Yeah, typical Piper numbers right there. Remember, Piper is an A rank. An A rank doing that much damage is actually pretty insane. Anyways, we're going to be going into Remielle and just finish things off right here. I'm pretty sure we can finish off Gerta Blulu by just doing this. There we go, nice. Go into Piper and just do a massive EX, and we should be able to finish things off right here if we are able to land at least one assault. There we go, go into an ult, and then we should be able to finish it off. If not, then we just go into Velina. There we go. All right. That was 40-second. Was that a 40-second Gerta Blulu? 43-second Gerta Blulu. As you see there, she is basically able to compete with all of her fellow other Anomaly agents right there. Yeah, Piper, Remielle, really, really good together. But TLDR, literally, Remielle just works with every Anomaly agent, as you see there. We showcased every single Anomaly agent from all the S ranks up until the 1 A rank Piper. And, well, the conclusion is Remielle is just so broken on all of those teams anyway that it doesn't really matter in the first place. So, yeah. As you see there, Remielle with Piper, really, really good. But TLDR, Remielle is good with every Anomaly agent. So, yeah. Well, anyways, that is it for all the Anomaly agents. We showcased every Anomaly agent, but there's one more team left to showcase in this segment. The free-to-play team. So, yeah. Well, anyways, without any further ado, let's just showcase the final team of the Remielle showcase segment. And time to showcase the free-to-play Remielle team. Alrighty, so the last team we're going to be showcasing in this Remielle team showcase segment is going to be a Remielle free-to-play team. So, I already discussed why Jane and Yanagi are really good in their respective showcase segments. So, if you guys want to know more information about why Jane and Yanagi are good with Remielle, then you can see the segments right there. But for this segment, since this is a free-to-play team, I'm going to be talking about why these two agents are free-to-play besides Remielle. I mean, Remielle's not even a free-to-play because you have to actually pull for her in order to get her. So she is not a free-to-play. But the other two agents are free-to-play, and I'm going to be talking about why they're free-to-play. So for Jane, you can literally just go into the game right now. If you guys have not chosen your S rank yet, you can choose Jane, choose our W engine, and there you go. You already have a free-to-play main DPS Anomaly agent. So there is your main DPS out of the way. As for your sub DPS or your secondary Anomaly agent, Yanagi. Yanagi, you can get her by losing 50-50. Since in limited banners, you can actually choose what S rank you can lose to. You can actually choose Yanagi, and then if you somehow got unlucky, you can actually lose to Yanagi, and you already have your secondary Anomaly agent. Of course, if you guys did not lose your 50-50, or you just can't get Yanagi for whatever reason, you can sub out Yanagi for Piper, which is an A rank, but that means that you have to fight for the main DPS slot for Jane, because Jane is also a main DPS, so we basically have Piper, who's a main DPS, we have Jane, who's also a main DPS, so of course they're going to be fighting each other for the main DPS slot. And of course, if you're going to be pulling for Velina in the future, you can just sub out Yanagi for Velina anyway, and you literally have a good Jane team with Jane, Velina, and Remielle. But since Velina is not out yet, your next best option is going to be Yanagi. Yanagi is going to be your, basically just your sub DPS for the most part. So, yeah. Well, anyways, I already discussed why all these agents are free to play, but it's time to discuss why Remielle is good on a free to play team like this. So for Remielle, she gives 1,600 to both of them, which is pretty good. It just means Jane and Yanagi are going to be doing more damage. As for the Refringe allows Jane to just do massive assault damage. And of course, Yanagi is able to supply damage with Disorders as well. So all these agents are going to be performing fine for the most part. And of course, if you did level up Remielle's EX, you gain an 18% increased damage for the whole squad. So it's pretty good. They should be able to synergize well enough with each other to the point where they just do massive damage together. So yeah. And of course, without Velina, this team is going to be performing somewhat worse than that, than a typical just Remielle Velina team, and that's because, again, as I said before, Velina and Remielle just work so well together to the point where your main DPS does a lot of damage. But since we have to sub out Velina for someone else, which is going to be Yanagi in this case for this free-to-play team, we are going to be seeing slight fall-off, but we should be able to finish Gritablulu in under a minute because Remielle is just broken that way. So, yeah. Well, anyways, time to actually showcase this free-to-play team. So we have Jane, who's the main DPS, we have Yanagi, who is the sub DPS, we have Remielle, who is the support sub DPS of the team. As for Bang Boo of choice, we have Snap for the damage boost. You can choose whatever Bang Boo that you want as a free to play. As long as you have 90 Boo Pons, you are guaranteed to gain the, Bang Boo of your choice. So as long as you have at least 90 Boo Pons or at least 80 Boo Pons, you should be able to get your Snap. Snap is unconditional, by the way, his damage boost. You don't need Stars of Lyra characters. The only reason why you would need Stars of Lyra characters for Snap is for the healing, which is his B skill. But his A skill gives damage boost, and A skill is not tied to a faction restricted ability. So this allows Snap to be ran on any team. So I highly suggest that you just run Snap, because for Ultra Jake you need Rose Califer characters. Some people don't have Rose Califer characters. So yeah, Snap will be your best option when it comes to free to play, which is why I chose Snap for this team, because it is the best Bang Boo in the game. You can literally just slot it into any team that you want. Anyways, we're going to be showcasing some Remielle stuff. So we're going to be going into float state. And then we're just going to have Jane and Yanagi do their thing. But firstly, we do have to put Assault on the enemy, because the only way we can gain disorder damage is if we put Assault in. So there we go. We got a 400k Assault, and we are able to do disorder damage. So 200k disorder damage, another 200k. Yep, typical Yanagi numbers right there, and typical Jane numbers. Yeah, these numbers are really good. Another 720,000 assault damage. That is really good, as you see there. Anyways, we're going to be going into a double parry, and we should be good to go. We can just do an ult right here. We do have Yanagi's passive up, so we should be able to get the full damage boost off of this. There we go. You go into Jane and just gain a ult, and just do another massive assault damage. And there we go. We can go into Remielle and just unload every single damage output that we're able to get. And we should be able to complete this in like basically 50 seconds right here. Alright, never mind. I guess I'm pretty sure this will finish it off. There you go. 51 second Gritablulu. That is a really good time, I would say. As I said before, you can just beat it in under a minute as long as you have a good Anomaly team. For a free-to-play Anomaly team like this, you are able to perform wonders. As you see there, we're able to delete Gritablulu. We're able to do 720,000 damage on Assault. Yeah, Jane and Yanagi just work really well together anyways, even back then in Season 1. And Remielle just boosts them up to oblivion, so this allows both of them to just pop off like crazy on this team. So yeah, as you see there, Jane and Yanagi work really well, despite being free-to-play agents. And of course, Remielle is just so broken to the point where every Anomaly agent is just broken, because Remielle is broken herself. So yeah, as you see there, the free-to-play team is a really good team to run. I suggest that you run this. If you are free-to-play, you're able to just carry like most of the content in the game because of this. So yeah. Well, anyways, that is it for all of the teams. So now it's time to showcase Remielle in some Hollow Zero gameplay. So without any further ado, let's just go to Hollow Zero and just showcase some Remielle gameplay. Alrighty, so here we are in Hollow Zero. So just like every single one of my agent showcases, I'm just going to be showcasing Remielle in Hollow Zero. More specifically, we're going to be showcasing her at Ether Activity 8. The reason why I showcase agents at Ether Activity 8 is because of the exploration missions. More specifically, your primary mission, where you have to clear the Hollow Zero run at Ether Activity 8 or above. That is one of the mission requirements, which is the reason why I always showcase all of my agents at Ether Activity 8, because it's one of the mission requirements. So yeah. As for the Ether Activity right here, it was at 12 because I did do a Ether Activity 12 run on Harmony Above All for Remielle. If you guys haven't seen that Ether Activity 12 run, or if you just want to see Remielle just absolutely destroy Harmony Above All at Ether Activity 12, you can check out the video at the outro and as well as the description of the Remielle showcase. So if you guys want to see some Ether Activity 12 gameplay, you can just go to that video instead. But for now, we're just going to be doing Harmony Above All at Ether Activity 8. So we are just chilling out and mellowing it down quite a bit. So we're not going to be, of course, intensely playing the game and just optimally playing. We're just going to be doing a normal basic Ether Activity 8 run. So yeah. Well, anyways, because of that, we are going to be deselecting some of these buffs. So we're going to be deselecting the time limit. We're going to be deselecting right here the shield. We're going to be deselecting the miasma contamination build up. And of course, we are going to be deselecting the demonized state. Those are the most annoying ones in my opinion. So yeah, that's the reason why I just get rid of those. As for the things that we chosen right here, we just chose 8 right here. So we have elite and bosses just do reduce energy and decibels if we get hit by them. Normal and elite enemies will self-destruct upon defeating them. Bosses have higher days limits and recover from stun faster. Damage dealt by bosses gets increased after a certain period of time. All bosses start with miasmic shield. Increase miasmic determination if we do get hit. All enemies gain increased anomaly buildup res and get further anomaly buildup res when stunned. And all enemies are enhanced in all aspects. So that is what we're going to be running with right here. I'm pretty sure we will be fine for the most part. As for the, special gear, we do have prism programs for Remielle. Remielle is actually one of those characters that actually has a prism program. So we're going to be talking about all of them and just discussing which ones are best in which scenarios. So, well, anyways, let's talk about Remielle's personal gear, starting off with Void Wing Pilgrimage. So Void Wing Pilgrimage is literally just a support Remielle. Yeah, I'm not joking. It's literally just a support Remielle. So when Remielle's in the phase flow state, aka when she's off field that's auto-attacking enemies, if the enemy is afflicted with either of these anomalies, you trigger a additional instance of a bloom that does 220% of the multiplier of that attribute anomaly damage. So basically, she just enhances your anomaly characters by 220% attribute anomaly damage. So basically, yes, this is literally the support equip. If you want Remielle to be your support for the Hollow Zero run, this is what you choose. Void Wing Pilgrimage. As for the Alpha Path and Beta Path, they are both pretty good as well. For the Alpha Path, if enemies are hit by auto attacks, they take a 10% bonus attribute anomaly damage, stacking up to 3 times. So basically, you can do up to 30% bonus attribute damage for all agents, which is pretty good. So if Remielle is not going to be your main damage dealer, and your main damage dealer, let's say like Promeia or Burnice, is going to be your main damage dealer, you pick the Alpha Path because they do 30% more bonus damage. And of course, it affects your secondary anomaly agent as well, like Velina or Yanagi or Vivian. As long as you just have this Alpha Path, you just get a 30% increase anomaly damage. And besides, she is able to get the 30% uptime anyway because her auto attacks literally hit the enemy a lot. So it's pretty easy to get. As for the beta path is more specifically for Remielle herself. So when she's in the phaseful state, her bloom triggered by an auto attack deals 50% more bonus damage and ignores 30% of the enemy's defense. So basically, this just boosts her own personal damage. So basically, Remielle does 50% more bonus damage on the bloom and 30% ignore defense on the enemy. So yeah, basically it's pretty good for the most part. So if you want just a overall universal support, you can go for alpha. But if you want a little bit more damage on your Remielle, you can go beta path and just get the 50% bonus damage and the 30% defense ignore. It's pretty good anyway. Either way, Void Wing Pilgrimage is going to be your main support gear. As for Blade Radiance is an EX spamming build. Yeah, you heard me right. This is an EX spamming build. So basically, when Remielle is the active character, she gains 1.6 energy per second, and when you use an EX, she gains 3 special Void Flares. So this means that you're able to do the normal attack literally right away because you have Void Flares. So basically, this is just a Void Flare spam Remielle. For the Alpha Path and Beta Path, they're both pretty good for the most part. For Alpha Path, when the enemy is under Prismatic State, aka if the enemy is literally grayed out, they get a defense reduction of 15% and an all attribute res decrease of 10%. So it's pretty good, but the only problem is when attacked. So you have to get attacked first. But other than that, you get a 50% defense reduce and a 10% all attribute res ignore, which is pretty good for the most part. So basically, this is kind of like a defensive path. As for the beta path, when Remielle launches an EX special attack, her anomaly proficiency increases by 100 for 10 seconds. So basically, this is just an EX spam build. Literally, Blade Radiance is just EX spam. So you could just use EX and then just spend the 3 Void Flares and then just do an EX again. This is literally just an EX spam Remielle build. So if you love to spam EXs a lot, Blade Radiance is for you. As for Petals and Silver is more basically kind of like a Fleeting Grace build. So Fleeting Grace, if you guys don't know what that is when Remielle goes into the air and it flies around a bit and then she does a big finale slash where, well, if you have enough Void Flares, aka if you have 3 Void Flares, you're able to do this attack. But it's really good for this build because if you love spamming it a lot, then you can actually just go with Petals and Silver because when you use Fleeting Grace, you don't consume her Void Flares, aka you just get your Void Flares back. So it's pretty good. As for the other paths right here, the Alpha and Beta path are pretty good as well. So for the Alpha path, when you trigger a Luminize effect, you get 5 energy for all agents in the squad, and you reduce the enemy's anomaly buildup res by 15%. So basically, you can just take advantage of the Luminize effect. You get it anyway by either 1, doing the basic attack Fleeting Grace, which is pretty free, 2, using an ult, which is also pretty free as well. So yeah, you can literally just do an ult, or you can do Fleeting Grace, or you can do that assist attack and just get free Luminize damage, and you basically have free energy and free anomaly buildup res for the team, which is pretty good. As for the beta path is more of a personal damage thing for Remielle. So when you trigger Luminize, you get increased 35% damage on Luminize, 25% ignore damage on all attribute res. So basically, you get a 35% increase of damage on Luminize, and you get an additional 25% ignore all attribute res on the enemy, as long as, of course, Remielle does a Luminize. So basically, the Alpha path is more of a support type of thing. For Beta path, if you really want her to do a lot of damage off of her Fleeting Grace, you can just use this and just do a bunch of damage. So yeah, all of these are pretty good for the most part, but in my opinion, the best one is probably going to be Void Wing Pilgrimage, because you are going to be using a lot of your main DPS anyway. Remielle is mostly going to be off field, just auto attacking the enemy, so this is a pretty good pick as well. Of course, if you are going to be using main DPS Remielle, you can go for either Blade Radiance or right here Petals and Silver, but Petals and Silver in my opinion is probably better because you can just get a 25% defense or res ignore and a 35% increased damage on Luminize, and Luminize is her main damage source anyway. Blade and Radiance is okay at best because it just allows you to do EXs, but EXs is not her best thing. Her best thing is literally either going to be your Luminize damage or her doing off-field stuff, which is right here. So yeah, as for me, I'm probably going to be going for the Void Wing Pilgrimage for this run. So yeah. Anyways, enough about me talking. It's time to actually go into this Hollow Zero. So, we have the team right here. So, and the Ether Activity 12 run, I ran Promeia. But we are not going to be running Promeia for this run. We're actually going to be running some weird team right here. I already mentioned before that Burnice is really good as a main DPS. Well, time to prove it with this Hollow Zero run. So we have Burnice right here, who's going to be the main DPS, Velina right here for sub, and Remielle as a support. As you see here, I did change the costume because I did showcase Remielle in her swimsuit. So might as well, for the second half of the video, might as well just showcase the black outfit. I love the Remielle black outfit, so don't hate me. As for the Bang Boot of choice, we are going with Ultra Jake right here for the energy. It's really, really important that we go for Ultra Jake because we do have 2 energy spammers on our team. So yeah, Burnice is going to be doing a lot of damage, while Velina is going to be doing a lot of damage. So I'm pretty sure this is going to be just a really weird just energy spam fest. So yeah. As for auxiliary agent, we're going with Vivian. I would choose Burnice, but Burnice is a auxiliary agent too. So this means that we can't even use her because she right here is our primary squad member. So we can't even choose Burnice. We can't have a double Burnice. So the next best thing that we're able to get is right here, Vivian. And besides, for auxiliary agents for Burnice, she is mainly tailored towards disorder. So yeah, Vivian is just much better for Remielle and Vivian teams. Not Vivian. Remielle and Velina teams, because right here, you're able to get AP increase with more damage on attribute anomalies. So it's pretty good for the most part. It's able to synergize. Unlike Burnice, where Burnice just does more disorder damage. Burnice is really good though if you are doing disorder teams. But since we're not running a disorder team with Remielle, we are not going to be running that. So yeah, and of course, as I said before, our primary agent is literally Burnice. So we can't have double Burnice on the team. I wish I could, but I guess we can't. Well, anyways, I'm pretty sure we should be fine for the most part for this Hollow Zero run, because I'm pretty sure Remielle is just gonna be cooking the enemy alive, and besides, we are running this pretty good team. Specifically, Burnice is just going to be cooking the enemy. Oh yeah, since Burnice is not one of the special agents, we don't have gear for her. So we're going to be choosing Voidwing Pilgrimage just to boost up the damage for our Velina and as well as Burnice. And we're going to be seeing what the researcher has. So let's see, we can go for 1 encounter. Let's go for the encounter because the thing about this is that we have to take advantage of our artifacts, which is the non-combatant artifact. So we are going to be choosing areas that have no combat. So for this case, for us, we're going to be choosing our encounter nodes. Encounter nodes, and as well as, of course, rest nodes, and just other nodes that don't have battles is beneficiary for us. So we just have to take those. And of course, we have to earn as much gear coins as possible. So it's pretty good for us to just get this. Anyways, we got Mysterious Voice, which just gives us Z merits. So let's see what we have here. Yeah, nothing really. I already did have a lot of Z merits. I did just farm for all of those, so yeah, that's the reason why we don't have Z merits over there. As I said before, the max you can get for Z merits is 1,000. So once you get 1,000, you can just back out, but you can still farm for Denny's and as well as widgets if you really want to, the Bang Boo widgets. So if you really want to, you can just do that. Anyways, we're gonna go into the Hollow Raider. I guess we could take the efficiency against Miasmic Shield. Let's just do that. Since all enemies have Miasmic Shield anyway, this just helps us take out the Miasmic Shield much faster. So it's a pretty good general Resonium for the most part. Anyways, let's see what we have here. Hopefully it's a quiz, because quizzes give you gear coins. Sometimes they don't even give you quizzes. Like here, we don't even have a quiz. We just have an HIA personnel, which gives us a general Resonium. I guess we can take this one, the Days Inflicted by EX. I guess we could just take that. And then we have a Combat Resonium. So, yeah. So far, the first set of nodes is pretty mediocre at best. Yeah. I mean, it's what you expect in Hollow Zero runs. It's either you get something good or you get something bad. Anyways, we're going to be going into Phase Flow, and we're going to be going into Velina, and just do a Vortex right here. There we go. And we should be able to clear all these floors pretty easily. Burnice doesn't really need that much help anyway, because Burnice is just able to just do normal attacks. So if you guys don't have any EXs, you can just do normal attacks with Burnice, and you're able to just do big fire damage. So it's pretty good. Anyways, we're gonna be refreshing here because we do need to use these. All right, we have our first Anomaly Resonium. Pretty good so far. I would say that we are on track. If we do have enough gear coins, we should be able to refresh the shop enough just to get a bunch of our Anomaly Resonium. We need Anomaly Resonium, of course, for our good old reliable, of course, our auxiliary agent, which is Vivian. So yeah. Anyways, the enemy that we're fighting here is Monato. So I'm pretty sure we should be fine for the most part on Monato. Monato is a pretty easy agent to deal with, I would say. So yeah. Anyways, we're going to be going to Burnice, and we're going to be doing the double flamethrower into Velina. So we should be able to do this right here and just get a vortex. Here we go. Alright, so we're going to be going into Vivian just to get the damage out of the way right here. And we are able to just destroy the miasmic shield. Let's see here. Yeah, as you see, it's pretty easy to just fight as Burnice, because Burnice just gains so much energy back. So yeah, you can just like go into Burnice every now and then and just do a big EX damage. And yeah, let's see here, we're able to get more EXs. We go into Remielle and just do big damage right here. And we should be able to go into Velina next. If not, then I'm pretty sure Remielle's just gonna be killing Monato right here. Alright, we go back into Phase Flow. There we go. Take advantage of all of the buffs right here. And then we should be able to just do a EX right here. Trigger Vital View. And I think Vivian should finish it off. If not, then I think a Burnice ult would do it. If not, then of course we do an EX. And there we go. Alright. Okay, so far, so good. As you see there, Remielle is just so broken. And also Velina as well, because we're able to just take advantage of all of those things. So yeah. Anyways, I guess we could take the, I guess we could take this. This is a pretty good, equip, which is a Candescent Wind Crown. This allows us to gain energy regen, and as well as just gain a bunch of benefits. Anyways, we're going to be taking the support one, just to gain more energy for the whole squad. As long as we trigger a ultimate, we basically get the energy back, which is pretty good for us. So yeah. Anyways, yeah, even though you don't get Z merits, you can still get a bunch of boo widgets. So if you guys do Hollow Zero, you can just get boo widgets for free, which is pretty cool. There is a limit though to how many boo widgets that you can get. So keep in mind that you cannot farm this forever to get a bunch of boo widgets, but it is pretty plentiful for the most part if you are going to be farming for boo widgets in Hollow Zero. Anyways, well, let's see what Ophelia has. Ophelia has one of our Resonium right here. So, we are going to be taking the 10% attribute anomaly damage just to help out Burnice, Burnice's damage output. And anyways, Ray is going to be giving us our second set of Resonium right here. See, as you see here, we got Patchwork Defenses, Trace of an Old Friend, and Eagle, I think it's, does that say, pretty sure it's the same thing. Yeah, Electrotastic Phenomenon. We basically get a second stack of that. Anyways, let's see what the map has to offer. Okay, we are taking the left path once again. Alrighty. Yeah, so, this is a pretty easy Ether Activity 12 because you literally don't have to fight anyone for the whole game. And besides, you get so much gear coins because of the, effect, which is pretty good. Anyways, we got another Mysterious Voice. It's pretty bad if we don't have Z merits because, Mysterious Voice literally gives you nothing and you just have a small chance of, getting a auxiliary gear. Let's see if we get it. No, we do not. We do not get the auxiliary gear. Yeah, it's pretty luck-based, to decide whether you get an auxiliary gear or not. It's pretty weird, but yeah. I'm pretty sure for the most part we should be good to go. Anyways, we got another Hollow Raider. So this means that we're able to get a miasmic thing. Alright, I guess we could take the all attribute res of 20%. You can take Windswept if you really want to improve your Velina damage, but Velina already is broken enough, so we are going to be taking the all attribute res for the team. And there we go. Alright, so, we guess we can just take the, well, Agent is inside the miasmic field. I guess we'll just take that just for the damage increase. And we have one more encounter to go through. So, I'm pretty sure we should be able to stock up on a bunch of gear coins. I think by the end, we should be able to have at least 10,000. Having a quiz is really good. Hopefully we get a quiz. It is not a quiz. It is another HIA personnel. All right, we basically got... Did we just get the same thing over again? I think we got the same thing. Oh, I think this is the same set of things too. All right. We have a combat gear coin area, so I guess we aren't really that bad in terms of I guess gear coins. But the only problem is that we literally only have one Resonium. One. We only have one. All right, we're gonna be focusing on the golden bamboo, because the golden bamboo drops a bunch of gear coins. So it's better if we just take this out first before we move on to the others. All right, there we go. And we should be able to go into Burnice. And I think we should be good to go right here. There we go. All right, we beated the bamboo, which is pretty nice. Oh, by the way, the reason why the game is just really laggy is because it's really hot outside. So yeah, this means that, yeah, it's just really hot. I'm pretty sure it's like 80 degrees where I'm at. So yeah, sorry if the game does look like it's chugging quite a bit. It's because it kind of is. But it doesn't chug in boss fights. It only chugs in like certain areas. But I'm pretty sure also as well, it's probably a Zenless Zone 0 type of thing. Because, more specifically for Zenless Zone 0. But they did release a new game mode, the extraction game mode, and I think that's where all their resources come from. And no one's going to be playing Hollow Zero anyway because they're just running that extraction mode. By the way, that extraction mode is one of the hardest things ever. So yeah, but as you see here, the game doesn't struggle. Well, I guess it does struggle quite a bit since it is Hollow Zero, but it doesn't struggle as much as like running it with just typical like a typical node. Anyways, we're gonna be dodging with Velina. We're just gonna be going into a vortex. There we go. We got a vortex. We go into EX again, and we should be able to be good right there. Nice. We go back into Velina and just repeat the process. There we go. All right. Okay, never mind. We do not repeat the process. We have to dodge these. Okay, so there's the first one. They do like 3 sets of attacks. So as long as we are able to dodge these 3 sets, we should be fine for the most part. Alright, that's our second set. And then the third set is going to be coming up right here. There we go. And we should be able to dodge this one, no problem. Nice. Alright, never mind. We got hit last second. Okay. Alright. Okay, I'm pretty sure, I think we can switch in. So let's switch in to Remielle. Just to close in the gap. There we go. Let's do another set of normal attacks. And we should be able to go into Burnice again. So we go into Burnice. She does an EX right here. Just build up the meter. And there you go. Alright, we're able to go into Velina. And we should be able to do another Vortex. And then just do another ult. Because we do have decibels. So you can just do a double ult with Burnice and Velina. Alright, let's see how much damage we're able to do. And that is... yeah, 800k of bloom damage. That is crazy. All right, we should be able to switch in again to Burnice and just do another set of EXs, and then we go into Velina again, and then we should be able to go into Remielle. All right, so we go into Remielle, and let's see how much damage this does. I think we should be able to do just massive damage. There we go. I think that was a 9... was that 900k Luminize? Pretty sure that's 900k Luminize. 1 million Luminize! Yeah, that was a 1 million Luminize. Another 1 million Luminize! Yeah, I see here, Remielle's damage output is just actually crazy. It's insane how much damage you're able to do with Remielle. And of course, as you see here, Burnice is able to gain energy back because of the Resonium's help. As well as just how the team is functions. Because you are able to just keep rotating skills over and over again to the point where you can't just do another just set of EXs, so you can't just do EX after EX after EX. It's pretty insane. Anyways, we're going to be going into ult, and we should be fine for the most part. I don't think we even used it one... yeah, we haven't even used one Vivian, so I guess we'll just use it. Let's just use the Vivian and just finish it off. There we go. All right. So far, I guess we are good. The only bad part is, as I said before, is just the lag. The lag is just crazy in this game. More specifically, Hollow Zero. Hollow Zero just lags. I'm pretty sure a lot of people have complained that Hollow Zero does lag. So yeah. Anyways, we're gonna be choosing. I guess we can choose Lacefield. It's either Lacefield or we go into this one. I guess we could choose the. I guess we could choose the Lace Veiled Blades. Let's just do that. We'll just get the all attribute damage bonus. Anyways, let's refresh right here, see what we get. Alright, we'll take the attack one, just to increase the attack of Burnice and Velina. I'm pretty sure we should be fine with those buffs. But yeah, as I said before, Hollow Zero just lags like crazy now. It doesn't lag that bad, I think, back then. I think it's literally just a Season 3 thing, just because of the new game mode. The new game mode runs better than Hollow Zero. It's just really weird for the most part. So yeah. Anyways, well, let's see what we have here, and let's just finish off the run. So yeah. Anyways, we're gonna be choosing the damage multiplier for Blooms, so we're gonna be choosing that. As for Ray right here, Ray's going to be giving us our third set of Resonium. So let's see what we have here. It is the same things yet again. Alright, let's see what we have here. This is a triple. Yeah, we're going to be choosing this path just to see how much gear coins we're able to get. If we do get Vulture, we should be able to skip the first Bamboo Store because we are able to get a bunch of gear coins if we do have Vulture. But no Vulture. We get another Mysterious Voice. That is 3 times in a row. 3 times in a row we get a Mysterious Voice. No auxiliary. Oh, we did get an auxiliary gear. That's an attack one. Okay, so I think this attack one is a Orphe and Magus. That is Orphe and Magus's auxiliary gear. If you guys don't know what Orphe and Magus's auxiliary gear does, it allows you to do ult again. So basically, once Vivian does her auxiliary assist, we're able to assist back with her. So it's pretty good. Anyways, we're gonna be doing chain attack. Gives us decibels. That's the only other best one that we're able to get. Yeah, I think the only thing that we literally got is a literal 1 attack Resonium and 1 anomaly Resonium. We are literally cooked. We're so cooked in this run. Alright, let's see what we have here. We have 6,400, so we should be able to refresh the store every now and then. So let's see what we have here. We have an anomaly one, so we'll take that. There we go. Nice. We're going to be doing another refresh. We get another anomaly one, pretty good. And then we're going to be saving our gear coins for later. So we're just going to be going into another Bamboo Store. And we're just going to be doing the refresh method again. Because it's cheaper to just refresh other than to just refresh for 300 gear coins. Because 300 gear coins is quite expensive. So yeah. Well, let's see what we have here. Another set. So we're going to be refreshing. I think we're just going to be refreshing twice for now. Yeah, so as see here, it's way cheaper if we just do it like this. As you see there, we were able to just spend less gear coins overall. So yeah. Anyways, we're going to be doing another refresh. No anomaly, so we are going to be skipping this. And we're just going to be going into the final area, which is the friendly talk. So I think we should be fine for Scorched Horizon. Hopefully the game doesn't lag as much. I'm pretty sure it will because it is Hollow Zero. Again, as I said before, Hollow Zero is just unoptimized for some reason in this version. 3.1, man. 3.1 is just really weird. Alright. Let's see what we have here. Okay, so we're gonna be just spending the rest of our gear coins. So we're just gonna be refreshing. We should have enough to basically get the last 2. Sadly, we aren't gonna be choosing the attack Resonium because we need to secure the Vivian. The Vivian level 4 Resonium. We got another defense. Yeah, we just have to keep refreshing until we get it. Alright, so we got 1 more to get. I'm pretty sure we might be able to... Yep, there it is. And see there, we got a level 4 Resonium. Pretty good. Let's see what else we can get with the rest of the gear coins. So I guess we can't just take a attack one just to boost up our Orphe and Magus. So there we go. And we are able to just get another one. So I guess we'll just take the max HP increase. Might as well. And let's fight Scorched Horizon. Hopefully the game doesn't lag right here. I'm pretty sure Scorched Horizon is kind of a laggy fight. But I don't think it's going to be as bad. Or the lag is not going to be as bad. Alright, so we're gonna be going into Remielle again. And we're gonna be dodging right here. Yeah, as you see here, it's really weird because normal fights aren't really laggy, but fights like Scorch Horizon, it works okay, as you see there. I think it's literally just a Hollow Zero thing. Hollow Zero is just really weird in this version. I'm pretty sure a lot of people have complained about it, but yeah, it's just really weird. Anyways, I'm gonna be restarting right there because we did miss the parry on that attack, on that control skill. So yeah, for control skills, you want to parry all attacks. I did become greedy and I just pressed space too early. So yeah, anyways, I'm pretty sure we will be prepared for this this time. So I think we should be a-okay. Alright, so firstly, we are going to be setting up Remielle. So let's just do that. Actually, we're going to be setting up Burnice first, and then we'll set up Remielle. There we go. Alright, so we dodge right here, and then let's actually properly parry this time. There we go. And there we go. We got the first shutdown. So we now need another impair. So we're going to be waiting for Scorch Horizon to attack. So there's the first, there's the second, and there's the third. Alright, never mind. I guess we'll go for another restart. I guess it didn't really register my parry. I did switch, as you see there, which is just really weird. Sometimes, well, if the game, I'm pretty sure it's just a lag issue, but if the game lags enough, I'm pretty sure it doesn't register your parry input, so it's just really weird for the most part. But I think third time's the charm, as they always say, so I'm pretty sure this reset is going to give us the luck we need to just parry all of those. Luckily for Scorch Horizon, all of those attacks are at the beginning of the fight, so you can just retry as many times as you want to get the, of course, the shutdown as well as the impair. It's really important that you do get those things though. I really highly emphasize that you just restart the fight anyway, because it's way faster to just fight Scorch Horizon if you are able to land those things. Alright, so I am just going to be dodging right here. We're going to be setting up Remielle later on. There we go. Get another parry. And then now we're able to set up Remielle. So let's set up Remielle. There we go. Alrighty. So now we're going to be actually preparing this time for the parries. So let's see. So there's the first, there's the second, and then we got the third. There we go. Alright, we got the impair. So now it should be pretty easy to fight Scorch Horizon. The reason why I do these things, by the way, is because if you do these things, you are able to basically just get most of the miasmic shield out of the way. Same thing with shields in general, because the impair and the as well as the control skill tech just lets you take out the shields automatically, which is pretty good. Anyways, we're gonna be going into Velina and just trigger a Windswept into Vortex. There we go. We should be able to go to Burnice and just do an EX. And look at the damage output go! And we're able to go into Vivian again and just do another Burnice ult. And then I think we could just go into Remielle. Let's just go to Remielle. And then let's do an ult right here. Let's see how much Luminize damage we're able to do. That is, I think that's a 1 million Luminize. Oh, 2 million! 2 million Luminize. Casual 2 million, 3 million Luminize. Yeah, the damage output is just very crazy. So yeah, 1 million of blooms. 1 million of blooms all day, every day. We're able to get so much Vortex damage too. That is a... I think that was a 200k Vortex. There we go. Alright, we're going to Burnice again. Nice. I guess we could go into Velina again, just to get the secondary Vortex. And there we go. Alright, we're going to be switching into Remielle. And I think a Vivian assist should do it. Because we are able to do another Remielle ult. Oh, never mind. I guess we don't need to because Remielle is just so broken to the point where we're able to just defeat Scorched Horizon easily. But yeah, even though we did have a couple hiccups, more specifically the lag and as well as the, well, me missing the parries for the most part. I'm pretty sure for me it's just a lag issue, but you can't say it's also a skill issue too on my end. But as you see there, Remielle is just so broken to the point where you're able to clear Hollow Zero very easily. It is really, really, really busted. So yeah, as see there, that team is pretty fun to run. As long as you're able to get a lot of energy Resonium, you're able to spam with Burnice, you're able to spam with Velina, you're able to spam with Remielle. It's just an EX spam fest all day, every day. So yeah, pretty fun team for the most part. As you see there, 6 minutes 38 seconds on Hollow Zero Ether Activity 8. It's a pretty fast time, but I'm pretty sure in the video itself, I'm pretty sure it took me like 30 minutes to beat. But yeah, you get the idea. It's a pretty fast run. So yeah. Well, anyways, it's time to move on to the next segment, which is the VR segment of the video. So, without any further ado, let's just showcase some Remielle tech. Alrighty, so here we are in the VR segment. So, if you guys don't know what the VR segment is in these showcase videos, it's literally just me basically telling tidbits and tricks about the agents and as well as just gameplay mechanics for the agents in general. For Remielle specifically, we're just going to be talking about her gameplay mechanics and basically what everything is about her kit. So, basically how to play as her, what her gameplay mechanic is, what her combat style is like, etc, etc. So basically we're just going to be covering all the bases with Remielle. So any further ado, let's get this started. So firstly, we're going to be going into the skill info and talk about Remielle, because Remielle is kind of a complex character, even though she is pretty easy to play. So basically, how her gameplay loop works is that it revolves around Void Flares, and of course, right here, if you go into Ode to Dawn, her floating radiance, which is her main gameplay mechanic. So, at the start of battle, you do have max floating radiance. Once you have floating radiance, aka when your meter is full, which is the top left right here if you see my mouse, once you reach 120 floating radiance, you're able to hold the special attack to go into phase flow. If you guys don't know what phase flow is, it is the state where Remielle is able to attack off field with auto attacks. Once she does that, she's able to hit enemies and just trigger Lumiflux build up and do Lumiflux damage, of course, since she is a Lumiflux character. So once she gains enough build up, she is able to just well, attribute damage the enemy and just inflict them with Lumiflux build-up attribute. Once you do that, you're able to go into your main DPS. In this team, it's Promeia. Promeia is able to do big, massive bloom and ice damage. This means that you're able to trigger one Lumiflux, well, anomaly damage, aka Refringe. Refringe allows Promeia or your main DPS to do a bunch of anomaly damage. Once you trigger Refringe, you gain a stack of Void Flare. Once you gain 3 stacks of Void Flare, you're able to swap into Remielle and go into the assist right here, which is Feather and Dance, or Flower, Feather, and Dance. So basically, in Flower and Feather Dance, you're able to go into the assist and do big Luminize damage, which is her main damage output. That's the reason why she is a sub DPS, because she's able to do her own personal damage. Once you do that, you're able to go into basic attack Fleeting Grace, if you do have enough Void Flares stored up, and if you are in the Luminous Reflection state, you are able to consume all of your Void Flare stacks to do Fleeting Grace. Once you do that, you're able to gain enough meter to basically repeat the same process again, which is to go into Floating Radiance and then go back into the phase flow state. So basically, what I'm trying to say is that her gameplay mechanics are pretty complicated, but the loop to play her is pretty easy. So basically, it all comes down to this, which I'm going to be showcasing right here. So once you have enough floating radiance, aka on the top left, you go swap out of Remielle, aka you hold EX or you hold special. So we're going to be doing that right here. Once you swap out, you just do your basic, well, DPS thing. So basically we're going to be attacking with Promeia. We're going to be going into right here with Velina. We're going to be doing some damage. And if you look at the top right there, on Remielle, she is gaining Void Flare stacks. As long as you trigger Refringe, she gains Void Flare stacks. Once you have enough Void Flare stacks, which we will be getting right here, her meter glows right here. on the mouse. If you see my mouse, her meter glows. Once her meter glows, are able to swap in and go into the assist ult. Once you do that, you can either, one, do a normal attack, which is what you're going to be doing most of the time, or if you have your ult, you can just do your ult and just do big damage. Afterwards, once you do either one of those two things, or you can do both, of course, you go back in and swap out, and you do the same process over and over again. That is literally how you play as Remielle. So you basically trigger a bunch of refringes, trigger as much refringes as possible on the enemy, and then you're able to just go into another, well, right here, since we have enough Void Flares, we're able to go back in to another assist with Remielle and do big Luminize damage. So yeah, as you see here, we're going to be doing Luminize damage, and we're just going to be going right here, just swap in, and then we're going to be doing a bunch of chains. And then, of course, we do have ultimate, so we can't just use an ultimate right here. And then we can go into the normal attack and just consume all our Void Flares. Right there. Just do big damage. And then go back into Phase Flow. And that, right there, is how to play as Remielle. She is really easy to play, as you see there. So you basically keep going into the same loop over and over again until the enemy basically dies. That is literally how Remielle is played. She is really, really easy to play. Well, anyways, now that we showcased the gameplay loop of Remielle and her gameplay mechanics, it's now to actually just showcase the amount of damage she's able to output. So anyways, we're going to be tryharding right here, and we're going to be doing as much damage as possible. So we're going to be doing a bunch of ults right here, and just gain a bunch of Void Flare stacks for our good old Void Hunter Remielle. So we're just going to be doing a bunch of Vortexes, get a bunch of refringe damage right there, go back into Promeia. We're going to be doing ult with her. And then I think we're going to be doing, I think we could just do 2 Blooms. So let's just do that. So let's do 1, we got another one, another Bloom, and we can go back into Remielle. And then just do another normal attack. And see there, right there, we get a Luminize. That is her main normal attack. Now let's actually do it with the special animation. So let's just do that. So basically we got a 300k Luminize on a normal attack. By the way, you only get that if you do run out of her state. So make sure you actually keep the gameplay loop going as fast as possible. If not, then you are forced to expend all your Void Flares. So yeah. Anyways, there we go. Then we can go back into Promeia and just do a bunch of a Bloom damage. So let's just do that. There we go. And we're able to swap into Remielle, and let's see how much damage we're able to do against a stunned enemy with an assist. So that is, I think that was 1 million. 1 million Luminize. Another 1 million Luminize on the normal attack with the thing, and then let's see how much damage we're able to do with ult. That is a bunch of damage. So yeah, as you see there, Remielle is pretty good for the most part. She does 1 million Luminize. She's able to just do big damage on the enemy. It is pretty crazy the amount of stuff you can do with Remielle. As you see there, the gameplay loop is pretty easy. As long as you know her gameplay mechanics, you shouldn't have too much issue just playing Remielle. Remielle is just so easy to play, and all your other agents are able to just synergize with her, which is pretty good. So yeah. Well, anyways, that's basically it for the VR segment. We already showcased a lot of all of Remielle's gameplay. So now there's only one thing left for me to do, and that is to go to the overview and final thoughts. So without any further ado, let's just close out the Remielle showcase video with the final segment. So here we have Remielle Dan, a first generation Void Hunter. She is part of the Covenant of Dayat faction. Her attribute is Lumiflux, and her class is Anomaly. So of course, just like the overview and final thoughts segment for all of my showcase videos, I'm just going to be basically talking about all the skills, as well as her Mindscape cinemas for those whales out there, and as well as give my overall final opinion on Remielle. But if you guys have been paying attention in this video, I'm pretty sure you probably know what my opinion is on Remielle. So without any further ado, let's talk about the skills. Starting off with right here, her core skill, her core passive, temporal patterns equals stilled colors. Remielle's refresh coefficient is equal to 0.02% of her anomaly proficiency. If there are 3 anomaly characters in the squad, her refresh coefficient increases by an additional 10%. So basically, your refresh coefficient is basically the next agent in line of Remielle. So basically, this will be your main DPS. So if you have 3 anomaly characters on the team, you're able to get an additional 10%, which is pretty good. But the reason why you also want AP on her is because you just gain so much refresh coefficient because of the AP boost. So yeah, that's another reason why you want AP on Remielle, because you get a anomaly proficiency boost on your refresh coefficient, which is basically going to be helping out your main DPS in the long run. When Remielle triggers a refresh reaction through a teammate, she generates Void Flare based on the enhanced anomaly effect strength of the current attribute anomaly after it has been refringed. Up to the 3 most recently generated Void Flares can be stored. So basically, every time you trigger a refresh, you gain Void Flare. That's basically it. That's basically what it's trying to tell you. If Assist, Flower, and Feather Dance, Ultimate, Dazzling Curtain Call, Basic Attack, Rainbow's End, or Basic Attack, Fleeting Grace hits a target, Luminize is triggered after the skill ends, based on the anomaly effect strength of all stored Void Flares. Deals an attribute anomaly damage to the enemy using the corresponding skill's damage multiplier. The multiplier is further increased by 0.2% of Remielle's anomaly proficiency. All stored Void Flares are cleared when Remielle enters the phase flow state, or after during Basic Attack, Rainbow's End, or Basic Attack, Fleeting Grace. So basically, if you do the Assist, Flower, and Feather Dance, Ultimate, Dazzling Curtain Call, Basic Attack, Rainbow's End, or Basic Attack, Fleeting Grace, you're able to basically deal a bunch of damage based off of your anomaly proficiency. So basically, she triggers Luminize, and the Luminize damage just does a lot of damage based on how much anomaly proficiency you have. So the more AP you have, the more damage Remielle is able to do with her Luminize. So it's really important as well to just get AP, not only for your teammate, which gives refresh coefficient an additional 10%, but it's also important for Remielle's personal damage because it allows her to do 1 million Luminize damages consistently. So it's pretty good. Of course, you are going to be spending all your Void Flares, but you are going to be getting it back as long as you, of course, right here in the core passive, it literally tells you if you do a refresh reaction, you get a Void Flare back. So it's pretty easy to get Void Flares regardless, but just keep in mind that you are going to be wasting Void Flares just to do this, but it's pretty good in the long run because you just do so much damage. So yeah. Additional ability, Invitation to Bloom. When another character in your squad is an anomaly character or shares the same faction, when there are 1, 2, or 3 anomaly characters in the squad, upon entering the battlefield, all squad members gain an attack increase equal to 6%, 12%, 40% of Remielle's initial attack, up to a maximum of 1,600 attack respectively. So it's really important that you just need to run triple anomaly because you get the 1,600 attack. It's very important. But also, running triple anomaly also gives you this. Remielle's days dealt while in the phase flow state increases by 6%, 12%, 35% respectively. So basically, if you have 3 anomaly agents, you get, not only do you get a 1,600 attack boost for free for all party members, by the way, you also get a 35% days increase on Remielle. So basically, Remielle is basically stunning the enemies for you with her auto attacks. It is pretty crazy. If you want the enemy to be stunned very fast and you also want the free attack boost, you have to get Remielle the 4K attack. That is the reason why you want 4K attack for Remielle. 1,600 attack is nothing to joke at. It is one of the highest attack buffs you can get in the game. So yeah. When applying Lumiflux buildup to an enemy, Remielle also applies the Prismatic effect. All squad members' attacks against enemies with the Prismatic effect have 15% increase anomaly buildup rate. Prismatic is removed when the enemy no longer has Lumiflux buildup. After Prismatic is removed, the anomaly buildup rate increases persists for an additional 8 seconds. So basically, as long as you have Lumiflux buildup on the enemy, you're able to get a 15% increase anomaly buildup rate, which is pretty good. This means that you're able to just trigger your anomalies faster, and it's pretty nice. The only way you don't have this is if you don't have Lumiflux buildup, but then again, Remielle does auto attacks off field anyway, so I think you should be good for the most part for your Lumiflux buildup. But 15% increase anomaly buildup rate is pretty good. It just means that you're able to trigger your anomalies faster. So yeah. And now it's time to talk about the basic attack. Basic attack, Leap. Press attack to activate. Performs up to 4 attacks ahead, dealing Lumiflux damage. If the basic attack hits the enemy, gain floating radiance after the skill ends. After the 4th hit of the basic attack ends, 1 Lumiflux buildup is applied to enemy's hit. So basically, you just get Lumiflux buildup. By the way, you can only have up to 4 Lumiflux buildup. So once you have the 4, you're able to get the Lumiflux, which allows you to do Refringe, which is pretty good. But you're not going to be doing basic attacks for the most part. Most of your Lumiflux buildup is going to be tied towards your auto attacks. So yeah, this is kind of useless unless you are running just main DPS Remielle for some reason. But yeah, just keep in mind that you do gain floating radiance. So if you want to get floating radiance fast, if you want to just go into the phase flow state, you can just do normal attacks every now and then just to build up the floating radiance meter. So yeah. Basic attack, Solo Dance. Hold basic to activate. Performs a slash in an area ahead, dealing Lumiflux damage. If it hits a target, gain floating radiance after the skill ends. This is just basically your hold basic attack. It's literally just her spinning around in a circle. That's literally it. Basic attack, Rainbow's End. When Remielle has stored Void Flare, hold basic to activate. Unleashes a powerful attack across a large area ahead, dealing Lumiflux damage. Grants a large amount of floating radiance when the skill ends. If the attack hits a target, triggers the Luminize effect after the skill ends with a 160% multiplier. Consumes all stored Void Flare upon use. So this is just the weaker version of Fleeting's Grace. This is literally the attack where if you don't have Luminous Reflection State, aka if you are not fast enough to get the Fleeting Grace, then you just have this, which is the weaker version of Fleeting Grace. Most of the time you are going to be doing Fleeting Grace, but sometimes you are not fast enough to the point where you are forced to use Rainbow's End. Rainbow's End is not that bad. It's still a pretty good damage multiplier. I mean, 160% is pretty good for the most part. But yeah, most of the time you're going to be doing Fleeting Grace, so you're never going to see Rainbow's End unless you spend a long time on your agents and you don't swap to Remielle very often. So yeah. Basic attack, Fleeting Grace. When Remielle has stored Void Flare and is in the Luminous Reflection state, hold basic to activate. Unleashes a powerful attack across a large area ahead, dealing Lumiflux damage. Grants a large amount of floating radiance when the skill ends. If the attack hits a target, triggers a Luminize effect after the skill ends with a 320% multiplier. Consumes all stored Void Flare upon use. So again, as I said before, Fleeting Grace is the stronger version of Rainbow's End. This happens when you switch into Remielle after you get your 3 Void Flare stacks. Afterwards, you're able to just do Fleeting Grace, and then you just do big basic attack damage, and it does so much damage. And of course, after your Fleeting Grace, you can just go back into the phase flow state, and then just do it all over again. This attack is really broken. You're going to be doing this all the time anyway. Expect to see Fleeting Grace every time you play as Remielle. Now it's time to talk about dodge. Dodge is pretty basic for the most part. Dodge, Retreating Light. Press dodge to activate. A quick dash dodge. Characters are immortal using this skill. This is just your dodge. Dash attack, Keen Light. Press attack during a dodge to activate. Launches a quick attack ahead, dealing Lumiflux damage. This is just your dash attack. Dodge counter, Mirrored Shadow. Press attack during a perfect dodge to activate. Unleashes a powerful slash at the target, dealing Lumiflux damage. Characters invulnerable using this skill. This is just your dodge counter. Yep, her dodge is pretty basic. Assists. Quick Assist. Feather Flow Rebirth. When the active characters launch, press assist to activate. Unleashes a slash at the target, dealing Lumiflux damage. Characters invulnerable using this skill. This is just your quick assist. Defensive Assist, Fleeting Light. When the on-field character is about to be attacked, press assist to activate. Parries the enemy's attack, dealing massive daze. Characters invulnerable using this skill. This is just your parry. Assist Follow-Up, Awakening Glimmer. Press attack after a defensive assist to activate. Unleashes a series of slashes against the target, dealing Lumiflux damage. Character is invulnerable using this skill. This is just your assist follow-up, or basically your parry attack. Assist, Flower and Feather Dance. Enters the battlefield, unleashes an attack in a large area, dealing Lumiflux damage. Consumes 40 floating radiance upon activation. With 90 or fewer floating radiance remaining upon activation, this assist Flower and Feather Dance does not consume floating radiance. Remielle also enters the Luminous Reflection state, and the next basic attack, Rainbow's End, is upgraded to basic attack Fleeting's Grace. So basically, once you go into Remielle, once you have your stored Void Flares, you're able to use this skill, which is basically just a big AoE Illuminized damage skill. Basically, this is just your secondary ult for Remielle. So once you have enough Void Flares, you're able to swap in and just do Flower and Feather Dance and just do massive damage. Once you do that, you're able to go into Luminous Reflection, which allows you to do Fleeting Grace, which is what I mentioned before. You're going to be doing that all the time anyway. So her main gameplay loop is literally just to go into Phase Flow state. Once you have enough Void Flares, you swap into Flower and Feather Dance, and then afterwards you go into Fleeting Grace, and then you swap out again, and you just repeat the process over and over again. When this skill hits a stunned enemy, their stun duration is extended by 3 seconds. Each enemy can be affected by this skill only once per stun window. This stun duration increase cannot stack with other effects of the same type. If this skill lands a hit, the Luminize effect can be triggered after the skill ends with a multiplier of 320%. Characters are using this skill. So basically, this is a stun duration extender. So if you do hit an enemy with this assist, which is pretty easy to do by the way, you are able to get a 3-second increase window on your stun window, which is pretty nice. It just means that you're able to just do more damage on the stun window. But also, it does do a lot of damage, her assist, because it does 320% of Luminized damage. So yeah, this is also another hard-hitting skill. So if you want to see big assist damage, you should be leveling this up. This is a pretty good skill. And now it's time to talk about specials. Special attack, Silver of Light. Press special to activate. Launches a ranged attack ahead, dealing Lumiflux damage. This is just your special attack. EX Special Attack, Ode to Dawn. Upon entering the battlefield, if Remielle has less than 60 energy, her energy is recovered to 60. In Investigation Zone mode, this effect can trigger once every 180 seconds. With enough energy, press EX to activate. Unleashes a powerful attack across a large area ahead, dealing Lumiflux damage. After the skill ends, apply 2 Lumiflux buildup to all enemies hit. Characters are molding the skill. Your EX is just your main way of getting Lumiflux buildup to trigger Refringe. So basically, if you have EXs, just spam it every now and then just to increase the Lumiflux buildup on the enemy. So that way, your next Anomaly agent, aka your DPS, should be able to just get the Refringe damage, which is pretty good. But for the most part, you're just going to be using EX just to do damage with Remielle, and as well as just to boost up your agent, of course. Special attack, Ode to Dawn, Radiant Turn. When Remielle is in combat and her floating radiance reaches its maximum of 120, hold special after a special attack or EX special to enter stance shift. Switching characters while in stance shift causes Remielle to enter the phase flow state. While in the phase flow state, Remielle acts autonomously to assist in combat. In this state, floating radiance is consumed over time, and some of her attacks apply Lumiflux buildup to the target. When floating radiance is fully depleted or upon leaving combat, Remielle exits the phase flow state. Before exiting the phase flow state, Remielle cannot be actively switched in except via a chain attack. So basically, once you have enough floating radiance, you're able to hold the special or just use an EX to go into stance shift. Once you go into stance shift, you go into phase flow. In phase flow, she automatically attacks enemies off field and does Lumiflux buildup. Basically, yeah, she just goes off field, attacks enemies every now and then. Once your phase flow state ends, you are able to swap into her. But during the phase flow state, you cannot swap into her. So this means that the only agents that you can swap to are your other 2 agents. So yeah, keep that in mind. You are not going to be swapping to Remielle as often if she is in flow state. So yeah, keep this in mind. If you really do want to parry with Remielle, you can't because she's in the phase flow state. If Remielle triggers 3 Refringe reactions in one phase flow state, or at least has 1 stored Void Flare when floating radiance is fully depleted, Assist Flower and Feather Dance becomes available, and her normal switch-in is unlocked. Assist Flower and Feather Dance is automatically used on Remielle's next normal switch-in. Upon entering the phase flow state, Remielle increases all squad members' damage by 18% for 60 seconds. Repeated triggers reset the duration. So basically, if you have 3 Refringe reactions, or if you have at least 1 Void Flare stored, you're able to go into Flower and Feather Dance Assist. So basically, if you have at least 3 Void Flares, which is pretty good, or if you have just 3 Refringe reactions, aka if you just build up the meter, which is the 3 dots, you are able to go into the Assist Flower and Feather Dance. So basically, you just get a free assist, which is pretty nice for the most part. But yeah, most of the time, you're going to be getting this off of 3 Refringe reactions, because you should be having enough time to do 3 refresh reactions because she already does a lot of damage off field anyway, and her Lumiflux buildup is pretty crazy. So you should be able to get the 3 refresh. As for the 1 Void Flare, you get Void Flares by doing refresh anyway, so you are going to be at least getting 1 Void Flare every now and then. So yeah, most likely you're going to be having 3 Void Flares, and you do have to spend all your Void Flares anyway in order to do the basic attack. So basically, what the game is trying to tell you is at least just do 3 refringes and you should be fine for the most part. But once you're in the phaseful state, aka when you swap out, you get a 18% increase damage for all squad members. So it's pretty good for the most part. If you want to level up your special, you can, because it actually gives you benefit of 18% increased damage for all squad members. So if you want to do more damage, level up their special. It's pretty good. When Remielle's Floating Radiance has reached its maximum of 120 and her special attack or EX special hits a stunned enemy, she can also enter the phaseful state by switching characters during the special attack or EX special. If no character is switched in after entering stance shift, Remielle uses a downward attack to return to the ground instead. So basically, if you have enough Floating Radiance and you use a special EX on a stun enemy, you can go into the phaseful state anyway regardless. So this means that you're able to just go into phaseful state immediately after the enemy is stunned. But if there is no one to switch to for some whatever reason, you can just do a downward attack instead. This only happens if you run solo Remielle. Just keep that in mind. So yeah. And now it's time to talk about Chain Attack, the last thing to talk about in the skills section. Chain Attack, Interwoven Dance Steps. When a chain attack is triggered, select the character to activate. Launches multiple attacks ahead in a large area, dealing Lumiflux damage. Enters the Lumiless Reflection state upon activation. The next basic attack, Rainbow's End, is upgraded to basic attack, Fleeting's Grace. After the skill ends, apply 2 Lumiflux build-up to enemies hit. Characters are losing the skill. This is just your basic chain attack, but you can go into Fleeting Grace with it. So basically, if the enemy is stunned, if you already have Void Flares stored up, you can just do a Fleeting Grace after your chain attack, which is pretty nice. Ultimate, Dazzling Curtain Call. When Decibel rating is at maximum, press Ultimate to activate. Launches an attack across a large area in front, dealing Lumiflux damage. If the skill hits, the Luminize effect can be triggered after the skill ends with a damage multiplier of 336%. Characters are losing this skill. This is just your basic ultimate, but it does so much damage to the point where you actually want to level this up, because her ultimate hits hard, and I mean very hard. So if you want to see her do massive damage, level up the ult. The ult is pretty good. And that is basically it for all of the Remielle skills. So now it's time to talk about one last thing, and that is right here, the Mindscape Cinemas, aka Whale Territory. This is Whale Territory. So if you guys want to know how good her Mindscapes are, if you want to know how good her maximum potential is, this is the segment for you. So any further ado, let's talk about these Mindscapes. They are pretty broken, by the way. Spoiler alert, they are all just broken. Honestly, if you have M2 Remielle, you are set. You're good to go. You'll see why in a moment once we talk about these Mindscapes. M1, Naive Oath. Upon entering the battlefield, Remielle gains 3 special Void Flares. In Investigation Zone mode, this effect can trigger once every 180 seconds. When Remielle triggers Luminize to deal damage, she ignores 50% of the target's all attribute res. When using Assist Flower and Feather Dance, she gains 200 decibels. The effect can trigger once every 18 seconds. When Remielle is in phaseful state, all of their squad members' attribute anomaly damage increases by 10%. Yeah, that's a lot on an M1. So I guess we could just break it down. So on her M1, she gains a 50% ignore all attribute res on Luminize. This means that Remielle does more damage on Luminize. Yeah, she basically just becomes a literal damage dealer. Her Assist Flower and Feather Dance gives her 200 decibels. This means that she's able to spam ult. Yeah. And in phaseful state, all agents get a 10% increase attribute anomaly damage. This means that all your other squad members get 10% increased damage. So this means that, yeah, this M1 is already broken. 15% defense ignore on Luminize, all attribute res ignore, 200 decibels every time you do an assist, and a phase flow of 10%. Yeah, this is a pretty broken Mindscape. M1 is already broken, but M2 is busted. Honestly, if you want a good stopping point on your Remielle, just get her M2 and you should be cooking up like everything in the game. This is how broken this Mindscape is. M2, fall into the noise. Remielle's refresh coefficient increases by 20%. Yep, unconditional by the way, it's just 20% free refresh coefficient. This means that your main DPS just does more damage. When an Anomaly character in the squad deals Anomaly damage to an enemy affected by Prismatic, the attack ignores 15% of the target's defense. This effect persists for an additional 8 seconds after Prismatic ends. While Remielle is in the phase flow state, the frequency at which she automatically attacks to apply Luminux build-up to enemies increases. Yeah, this mindscape is just so broken. So if you guys, well, missed it out, I'll break it down as well. So Remielle gets a 20% refresh coefficient increase. This means that your main DPS just does 20% more damage. It is broken. Absolutely broken. Also, when an Anomaly character does Anomaly damage on a Prismatic enemy, aka if Remielle attacks the enemy and they turn gray, they gain a 15% defense ignore. So they do 15% more damage. And also, while Remielle is in the phaseful state, aka when she attacks off-field, her Lumiflux buildup increases. This means that you're able to trigger refreshes a lot. And I mean a lot. So this basically just changes how Remielle plays. Remielle basically just becomes a Lumiflux spammer and becomes a refresh spammer. That is how broken this mindscape is. If you need to stop at one point for your Remielle, if you decide like, okay, I need to choose the best mindscape to stop at, M2 will be your best choice because M2 is just so busted. Not only for your M1 because you literally get a 50% ignore on your Luminize, your 200 decibels, as well as a 10% increase for all damage for anomalies for your squad, but you also gain an additional 20% refresh coefficient, a phase flow literal buff to her Lumiflux buildup, and as well as a 15% ignore defense on enemies. Yep. M2 is a good stopping point, I would say. So if you want to stop at a certain mindscape, stop at M2. M2 literally just unlocks Remielle's full potential. But if you want to continue further, her other mindscapes are pretty broken too. M3, the Garden of Diverging Time. This is just +2 to all skills. It's just your basic M3 and M5. M4, the Long Goodbye. When Remielle triggers Luminize, the damage multiplier is increased by an additional 12%. After entering the battlefield and gaining 3 special Void Flares, if all Void Flares are consumed, she immediately gains the maximum number of special Void Flares again. This effect to regain special Void Flares is removed after being triggered once or when Remielle enters the phaseful state. So basically, you just get 3 special Void Flares and you're able to just do it again. So basically, I guess we could just break it down as well. So, when Remielle triggers Luminize, you gain a 12% increased damage multiplier. This means that you're just do more damage on Luminize. But also, you get 3 special Void Flares upon entering the battle. This means that you're able to just do a free basic attack. Yeah, and of course, you get another set of Void Flares again. This means that you can do another basic attack. Yeah, this means that you're able to just spam basic attacks over and over and over and over and over again. It is busted. Absolutely busted. Yeah, you see what I mean by this is like one of the best set of mindscapes in the game? Because it kind of is. M5, to Drink Forgetfulness. This is just +2 to all skills with a net total of +4 if you have both 3 and 5. As for M6, this is true whale territory. Lone Feather's Endless Flight. When Remielle uses basic attack Rainbow's End or basic attack Fleeting's Grace, Luminize is triggered 2 times. If the 4th hit of her basic attack lands against a target, Remielle gains 3 special Void Flares after the skill ends. Special Void Flares gained this way deal damage equal to 25% of the special Void Flares gained upon entering the battlefield. This is very, very broken. So, when you use Rainbow's End or Fleeting Grace, you trigger Luminize twice. This means that she does double damage. Yeah, you heard me right. Double damage. Double damage. Enough said. That like, you can literally just have that part of the sentence right there, and she's already broken at M6. But the real kicker is literally the second passive. So when you hit someone with the 4th basic attack, well, now that you have to because you actually get this effect, you get 3 special Void Flares, and you get 25% increased damage on the special Void Flares. This means that you're able to just spam Rainbow's End again. Rainbow's End, Fleeting Grace. You can just spam basic attacks. And not only that, remember, all of her other Mindscapes give her Void Flares too. This means you're able to just spam nothing but normal attacks, normal attacks, normal attacks, normal attacks, normal attacks. It's just so busted. And remember, she triggers it twice. So all of those, your Rainbow's Ends, your Fleeting Graces, they do double damage. And you can spam them over and over and over and over again. Yeah. M6 is pretty broken. Not gonna lie. So yeah, I see there, all of her Mindscapes are pretty broken. Yeah, I mean, what do you expect? It's Remielle. Remielle is a Void Hunter. Void Hunter having broken Mindscapes. Yeah, who would have saw that coming? Well, anyways, it's time to talk about my overview and final thoughts on the character. So what is my final thoughts on Remielle? If you've seen the title of the video, that is my opinion. The best Anomaly agent in the game. Literally. She's literally the best Anomaly agent in the game. She supports. She does damage. She literally does whatever you want her to do. You can slot her on basically any Anomaly team in the game and she performs fine. Literally the ultimate Anomaly agent. She does a lot of damage. She supports the team. She's able to give big damage boosts as well as attack boosts to the other party members. She literally makes bad Anomaly agents good. Yeah, that's how broken Remielle is. She literally elevates every single Anomaly agent. That's how broken Remielle is. Every single one. Every single Anomaly agent. For Dylan is pretty good, honestly. I mean, she does free ults. Same with Norma. Norma does free chains. But can those characters elevate a agent to their maximum potential? Like, let's say you can just use, like, someone like Banyue for Dylan. Well, of course, for Banyue, you still have to play them optimally. But do they actually boost the absolute crap out of your main DPS to the point where you can literally just run whatever you want and you score high anyway? Yeah, that's what I thought. Remielle is that agent. She literally boosts the damage. She does damage herself too. So she basically is not just tied to a support role. She's tied as a sub DPS. She's literally everything. She is every single agent combined in this game. It's just so busted. So my opinion on Remielle is literally just she's the best Anomaly agent in the game. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Literally, Remielle, our goddess. The best Void Hunter ever to exist. Anyways, that is it for the Remielle showcase, as you see there. So yeah, well, anyways, well, if you guys enjoyed this Remielle showcase video and want to see more showcase videos like this in the future, be sure to leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel. It really does mean a lot if you do support the channel by doing so. It helps me keep me motivated in making more videos and uploading more content for you guys. So again, if you guys enjoyed this Remielle showcase video and want to see more showcase videos like this, be sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe. It really does mean a lot. Again, without you guys, I wouldn't be here. Thank you guys so much for supporting if you do so. As for the comment section down below, what do you think about Remielle? You think she's broken? You think she's not? Even though she is. Let me know in the comment section down below. And of course, I want to know what your opinions are on Remielle. So, you think I'm wrong? You think I'm right? Well, let me know in the comments. And, well, thank you guys so much for watching this Remielle showcase video. And I'll see you guys next time in the next Zenless Zone Zero video.